Survivor's ready. Go!
Travis spoken.
Boston Rob and Amber are gonna do it.
This is a business trip, as I like to say.
You, Brad Culpepper.
I'm tired of you and the fucking chicken.
You can call me the puppet master. They can be my little puppets.
It's not like you're making a deal with the devil here.
You get to milk your own milk, I guess.
Who the hell voted for me?
Chicken.
We got enough rocks here, too. We could build a pretty decent shelter just using rocks.
I'm supposed to talk glamour to you. You understand that better?
Direct from Hobart, it's time for the only Survivor podcast in Australia dedicated to Survivor, bringing you all the latest interviews, episodes, and opinions from the greatest reality show on the planet. It's Survivor Oz, and here's your host, Ben Waterworth.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Survivor Oz, Australia's #1 TV and film podcast, coming to you for the very first time in 2016 for an episode that we only ever do every 6 months, and it is always one of our best episodes, one of the ones we always look forward to. It is our Ozcap, the 31st time we have done one of these, a Survivor Cambodia Second Chance Ozcap. Such an exciting time to talk about a very popular and well-received season, and I'm excited to hear just how exciting and well-received it is amongst a group of Ozlets that are on the line with me right now, including, and this is actually quite amazing to me, for the very first time on an Ozcap. This is incredible considering how long he has been with us here in Survivor Oz. I thought he'd been on one of these before, but apparently he hasn't. Direct from New Zealand. Look at that. I even said that in an Australian accent. New Zealand. Please welcome to the Ozcap, Mr. Nick Wu Huang Chester. Nick, welcome to Survivor Oz.
Congratulations to me. It only took 31 seasons to get here, but I'm here. Thanks very much.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure. Oh, see, look, that Australian accent just got lost pretty much straight away. Joining us for his fourth Ozcap, and his fourth in a row, may I just point out too, so he's doing quite well. Direct from Queensland, please welcome Julian Kimmy Kappenberg Gronenberg. Julian, welcome back to Survivor Oz.
Thank you, Ben. It's an honour. I'm glad to be on the line with you from your mum's house. You'll have to talk about that. But yeah, 4 in a row is pretty good. And I don't know if I can ever top Cagayan, where I was talking about Morgan.
Where's that warning sound effect?
Go back and listen to that. I think it's about an hour in. But Kate is worse. Still maintain her description of her neighbours. But yes, anyway, great season. Can't wait to talk about it. It's going to be fun.
There's a reason why we do these every 6 months, because we like to block them out from our memory, just exactly what happens. And thanks for bringing up my living situation. I'm sure I have to put up this for only 6 more months, but we'll get to that, no doubt. And joining us for the 31st time on an Ozcap, sitting alongside me is the only person to be on every single one of these. Please welcome to Survivor Oz, Noah Keith Nail Groves. Noah, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. One thing that should be noted is we actually recorded this Ozcap out of order, so that's season 32 Ozcap. We could probably post right now if we wanted to, but yeah, we should also mention, of course, Ben Monica Padilla Waterworth as well. How can we forget that?
Well, I don't know who would ever forget Monica Padilla was on this season. I, for one, was straight away thinking of her immediately. But
I think Second Chance, I think Monica Padilla.
Hey, I always thought that whenever
she's a snake in the grass. She's a snake in the grass.
Wow. If you've never listened to an Ozcat before, you probably should keep it that way. Tune out now. Go away. Listen to something else.
Thanks for... See ya.
These are our recap episodes of a season, essentially. We just a brief bit of history. We used to record these fairly frequently because we had to catch up on about 20, I think 4 or 5 seasons at the time when we first started doing these. So myself, Noah, Jared, Lancey, and Ethan and Troy used to do these quite a lot, but we caught up and we're here now, do them every 6 months, and we'll basically just go through mainly the contestants of the season, talk about what we thought of their games and other things in between, and just go over a wide variety of different aspects of it. Of course, Season 31, Survivor Cambodia, second chance, and we always generally start off on Ozcap with just overall thoughts of the season. You can discuss, of course, what you were expecting coming into this season and coming out of the season, how much your opinions change. And let's start with Mr. Versatile, Mr. Consistent, Mr. Noah Groves. Noah, give us your overall feel on Cambodia.
I liked it. I really enjoyed it. But apparently I hate it. I don't know. It wasn't a top 10 season. It was good. I love all Survivor seasons. It was better than Redemption Island. It was better than South Pacific. It was better than Worlds Apart. It was better than Caramoan. I'm not going to list all of them, but it was better than a lot of them. There was a lot of good things going for it. But I also felt like it was lacking something or multiple things, and it wasn't one of my favorites. I tuned in every week. I watched the episodes multiple times. I talked about it, and I loved it. But it wasn't the best full All-Star season, and I don't think it was as groundbreaking as a lot of people make out. So again, that doesn't mean I hate it. I really enjoyed it. But I struggle to see what makes this season like top 5, top 1 that people say, because there's a lot of good seasons of Survivor out there. But yeah, it was a good season, and I will look back on it as a good season. And
so to clarify, you do not hate this season?
I definitely don't hate this season.
Right, there we go. Twitterati, leave him alone. Nick.
Let's get a soundbite of that.
Oh, shit, actually, hang on. Let's hear Nick's thoughts and we'll get to the sound effects in a second. God, I'm second chance of forgetting stuff here right now. Thanks, Noah. Nick, Cambodia, what are your thoughts?
I don't know if I can top such strong, opinionated thoughts from Noah there. But I'll give it a go. I mean, I think for me, one of the reasons that I really wanted to be on here was because I thought I might have to do a bit of defending of this season, but I'm not sure. But I think it is top 10. I think it is really good. I think week to week, there's just always interesting stuff happening. There's not really any down parts of the whole season. And the one thing I really, really like about it is that the way the show was edited is that I really felt there were kind of 2 to 3 really strong possibilities for a winner all the way through. And it wasn't really up until, you got to that kind of final 4 that you realised who was probably going to win. I mean, I know Jeremy was a favourite, but, there were good storylines for a few players, and I really liked that. And that's not always the case, especially when you have a winner like Jeremy that's your kind of alpha male type. So that's what I really liked about it. I think it is a really good season. I think it will hold up really well over time. And I'm not sure that we'll know how groundbreaking it is until season 33. That's the tough part.
Mm-hmm. Julian?
I really liked it. I can't imagine that we're going to get a better season for a while now. I guess that's just managing my expectations, but I don't know what more you could really hope for from a modern Survivor season. I felt every episode, I agree with Nick, every episode was solid. There was only 2 I can really think of that weren't as good, but really, there was so many twists and turns. There was so much excitement. And the whole process of being able to vote for your contestants, the hype, all the anticipation, the new location was awesome. There was old school elements brought back into it. What more could you want is what I want to say is how can you really expect...
More Keith Nail.
More Keith Nail.
More Kelly Wigglesworth.
Oh, there we go.
Kimmy.
More Kimmy. Well, we kind of got there in the end.
More T-Bird.
More Jeff Varner.
More Shane.
More Jeff Varner. But, yeah, no, I loved it. It's got to be between 5 and 10 for me, so somewhere in there.
Okay, well, there we go. Varying opinions, I think, on this so far, sort of. It was good. Not the worst. Now, I completely forgot to do this at the beginning. Each Ozcap, I think we brought this in a straight outback.
You share your opinion.
Oh, it was good. I will in a second. Hang on. We've got to get these sound effects out of the way because it's a staple part of an Ozcap. We like to steal from other podcasts and bring in sound effects. But it's time. This is Noah's suggestion. Instead of bringing in new sound effects, it's second chance sound effects. So I've chosen 4 sound effects from previous Ozcaps to bring them back because they were ever so popular, including one from only the last season. I thought we needed to bring back the Wilhelm scream. because that was always a popular one. This one, I believe, was from Palau, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Rob Schneider telling us to... So just, to help out, I think that was to help Stephanie and Bobby John out. One that was particularly dear to Julian's heart, if we go back to Cagayan, with a bit of a reference to... That's just bouncing up and down because we love this season. And my personal favourite, throwback to our spin-off show, 007, download via 007.wordpress.com from Survivor Redemption Island. We had to have a fart effect. So I will play that.
Like a really unhealthy fart.
It's. I think you need to combine it a little bit like.
Oh, it's a bad one. It's a wet one.
Oh damn! The last one didn't work. It kind of all works all together, really. Like anyway, my thoughts. Well, I'm kind of with Noah a little bit. I mean, I enjoyed this season. I have nothing against this season. I don't think it's as brilliant as people make it out to be. Personally, out of the 3 full All-Star season, I would put this at number 3. I don't think it is anywhere near as good as the other 2 full All-Star seasons. And it definitely had its moments that, drew you in every single week. But I really didn't sort of feel the way I did with All-Stars and Heroes vs. Villains that every single week, oh my God, what's going to happen next week? Oh, I'm so excited. But, I still enjoyed it. And I was happy that Jeremy won. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it and you're waiting to see who wins this season. Danny wins Guatemala, by the way. Just thought I would spoil that.
Yay, Guatemala shout out. Woo.
Yes, indeed. So we didn't have the Guatemala sound effect, which I can't remember what that was. But we generally go over a little bit before we get into the contestants in terms of just a few things about the season in general. Just some little facts about it. So filmed between May 31st and July 8th, 2015 in Koh Rong in Cambodia. Very first time we had an American season filmed in Cambodia, so a new location, I believe, I think it was Julian, you mentioned that. Great that we had that. 20 castaways.
That's actually wrong. It's not the very first time we had
Well, actually, good point. Good point, Noah. Because the season that we will do a next Ozcap on was actually filmed before this. So, good call, Noah. Well done. Yes, 20 contestants. Now, this, of course, was the very first time that we had the opportunity to vote players back in the game. 32 players were chosen, and 20 people were voted for the top 20 to get through. And sadly, 12 did not make it. And I'll just quickly... T-Bird was Rob. So the ones that didn't make it, who were on the ballot, Teresa T-Bird Cooper from Africa, Brad Culpepper from Blood vs. Water, Max Dawson from Worlds Apart, Mike Holloway from Worlds Apart, of course he became ineligible because he won Season 30, Shane Powers from Panama, Shane was robbed, Jim Rice from South Pacific, Carolyn Rivera from Worlds Apart, Troy Zan Robertson from One World, Natalie Tenorelli, Redemption Island, Sabrina Thompson, One World, Stephanie Valencia, Redemption Island, and Michaela Wingle from South Pacific. So we had our 20. And I guess we had not a whole lot of dramatic twists at the beginning of the game compared to what we sometimes have. I mean, ones were brought in, of course, when we divided it into 3 tribes, which was the very first time this had happened. Well, I suppose technically since Pearl Islands, if you count the Outcast tribe as a 3rd tribe. Challenges this season were all second chance themed, so reruns of previous challenges. We had other little things, but it wasn't really super twist heavy, besides the obvious twist of voting people back on the season, I guess. But yeah, I think one thing that I wanted to quickly ask, because this is me just being a little bit of a anal Nelly when it comes to consistency in Survivor. I think this annoyed Noah.
Anal Nelly.
Anal Nelly.
Anal Nelly.
That's like a metalcore band or something.
It's a video I watched earlier today. I know this. I blame Julian. It's always Julian who says things like that.
Anal Nelly.
You
were the one who said the words anal Nelly.
Technically, this is season 32 in terms of filming order, but of course it was aired as season 31. Did it annoy anybody else that this couldn't be season 32 or season 30? Like, it seems to me like, let's make it season 31. You could have made this season 30, big anniversary season 30, great, fantastic. Or you could have made it season 32 to keep the consistent every 12 seasons we have a full all-star season. Smack it in at season 31. This pissed me off. Noah, join me here. I know this pissed you off too.
I'm not as anal Nelly about it as you are, but yeah, kind of. If they would have to do some shifting around if it was 30, because obviously with the whole voting thing, it would mean we would have had to have voted after season 28 and then had to watch Sam Under Sir, which probably would have lowered that season's reputation even more. And it means Jeremy wouldn't have been the winner. But yeah, so it should have been the big celebration one, but I don't think that would have worked. And then again with 32, it means we would have had to watch Co-Wrong first and then get to this. So sadly, the only way it really seems to work is for it to be season 31. So I guess you can't be that anal Nelly about it if you think of the logistics, really.
Oh, God. There's somebody called Nelly listening to this right now. What? Who? Julian, did it annoy you at all?
Well, that's an interesting point about the every 12 seasons. Like, I guess that is anal, but it is, I like the consistency, things like that. I just think for season 30, I don't know, it's such a round, luscious number. Like, I felt that it would have been good to do the All-Stars season. I don't care, like, I don't know how they would have scheduled it and all that sort of stuff. Like, so yeah, like, it's not a big deal, but I think for season 30, this would have been good.
Asking the big questions here in Survivor Oz. Nick, you've missed these big questions, I know.
I know, I've been up all night thinking about it. No, I don't give a shit.
Nick Chester back on Survivor Oz for a reason. Now,
He's a non-anal Nelly.
Non-anal Nelly. Before we get into the first contestant voted out, the tribes, of course, Takeo and Bion. Hey, I can pronounce them. Takeo being a sort of a greeny, aquary, more green colour. Green, Ben, it was green. You're welcome, Survivor, bringing back the green buffs again. And
green buffs?
Bion, we had pink. In a way, for the first time in our cases, I guess we had pink. But, you know, semi-newish, or at least a long bloody time since we had Bion, so good on them. And of course, Angkor, which we'll get to them soon, sort of a mustardy yellow that we will no doubt bring up very, very shortly. But we always start off with the very first person voted off, funnily enough, Vitas Bushkauskas. Of course, originally from Survivor Blood vs. Water. Bit of a shock, I feel. I had him going very far pre-season. And to me, still, a vote that never really has been fully explained. Nick, Vita's going first.
Yeah, it wasn't a shock to me because I forgot to unfollow Survivor Oz before the start of the season, so I saw the post that said, "Were you shocked that Vitas got voted out first?" Before I'd seen the episode. So fuck you. But you know. I mean, it was a bit of a shock. Obviously. I mean, it was not something you expected. He was, like a good physical, competitor and all that kind of thing. So you expected him to be around for a little while, and it was a shock. Him and his tight package were off early.
Good to see that Nick was even more shocked with his tight package. Julian, Vitas and his tight package.
I found him so infuriating, so I was happy that he went. I never really liked Vitas that much. I thought he did have an arrogance about him, and I was semi-not that shocked because I feel like in the pre-game, I don't know, like I watched the pre-game interviews and I feel like a couple of them said they were gunning for Vitas, or they had a vibe that was like, I don't know about Vitas. I don't know if it was a little bit of a surprise, I guess, to vote out someone who could have been stronger in the challenges, but when you've got game bots and like strategy sort of people like we had with Spencer and Shireen, it's not surprising that, someone big would go out first in the All-Star season. So I wasn't uber shocked, but I guess it was like a little bit of a surprise, yeah.
Well, I pre-season was for sure that Bion would be the one who would lose first, and that Cass would be voted out first. So once again,
Yeah, I was really
That was a shock from that perspective, yeah.
yeah. I mean, Takeo just was shit at the beginning, and then obviously parts of the shitness went across to the mustard yellow, which is kind of what happens with poo sometimes. That's where I should really have a sound effect lined up, but clearly I am not thinking straight. Let's try that again, which is a poo, whatever I just said a second ago. It's it's a bit like, it starts off as like a nice fart, but then it kind of like seems like they're straining a little bit at the end, like.
Got a bit of a squelch to it, I think.
It's got a little bit of a reverberation at the end, which might not be so. Why are we talking about fart reverberations? Perhaps. Because I think Noah's not there at the moment, so I'm stretching this out a little bit. So you two, how you going? Actually, just quickly, one thing that I can look at here pre-season with the predictions. I mean, I put him at 4th. Nick, you had him at 18th, Nick, so you weren't hopeful at all. Julian, I don't have anything from you pre-game, but I do know that Alec said he was going to win. Nick, what made him so sure for you pre-season that he was going to go so early?
like I've got any memory of what I was thinking. I think probably what Julian's saying kind of rings a few bells to me, that there were a few people pre-season were pretty sketchy on him, and that probably kind of made me think, oh yeah, he's not in a good spot. I think I probably also looked at the kind of tribe makeups as well, and I thought there were a few groups forming and he might not be a part of them. So it was probably more along those lines than anything else, if I'm going to try and remember what I was thinking.
Thank you, Nick. One quick thing, actually, that Julian just brought up. Thank you, Julian. Do you want to host? Because I think you're doing a better job than I am in that box there. With the twist that I didn't mention at the beginning, which we can quickly discuss while we wait for Noah to come back to talk about Vetus. We had the twist, of course, at the beginning of the season, where you had the extra bag of rice off the boat to swim to. Which, I mean, one thing that absolutely I loved about it was the fact that we got great Kelly Wigglesworth out swimming everybody at that point before Wu came in.
Her best episode was the first episode.
She got the first confessional, did she not? Yeah. And she was swimming faster than Michael Phelps, and bloody oath, she was brilliant. It was like, this is the Wigglesworth season, and we never saw her again. But did you like that twist to start it off, Nick? Do you remember it?
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I thought it was a good way to start the season.
Can I say, just quickly, that I thought the opening, like we talk about in top 10s, the 10 best season opening sequences or whatever. I think actually you wrote that one, Nick, but this was
he
awesome.
Wrote every single one, basically.
Pretty much, he writes the whole website. But they had them walking through the temples, they had them going through the village. They had the full season sequence of all the castaways, the full 1 minute, theme song, Ancient Voices, for the first time that I can remember for ages, and it was just so exciting. I got moist. Hashtag moist.
Noah's back. We're talking about Vetus, his package, and getting moist. Anything to add?
Yeah, I left at the right time, didn't I?
Anal Nelly.
Vetus. Well, I think the problem with him is anyone who went first was always going to be a pre-season thing. They were talking pre-season of, we want Vetus out. And there was no explanation for it other than him being, quote, smarmy. So it was just kind of like, if anything, we thought, maybe Abby will be going, and I won the money in the end, but because Vetus went. But yeah, there was no explanation for it, purely because it was going to be him or Cass. Unfortunate, but I didn't vote him back on, so I wasn't furious.
All right, keep going then.
I finished.
Good. You can see why we've been away for about a month at the beginning of 2016. Things going well. We should mention, sort of along the way too, that we probably gelled over a little bit about the people that didn't get on and the voting aspect, and I feel we don't really need to talk too much about that because you can go back and listen. We did do a preview episode of Cambodia, sort of talking about who we would vote for and who we would like to see on, and in our proper preview episode, we also discussed a little bit about that. So if you're wondering why we're skipping over that aspect, because we've already discussed that, and also I guess in terms of pre-season alliances and things like that. I mean, there's a lot out there of kind of, what was said, who said what, and that sort of stuff. And, we'll try and bring up elements of that. One thing that I will quickly touch on too, which I'd like to get some quick thoughts, because this is the point where we can be honest now, is whether or not any of us knew any spoilers at all. I don't think this was as spoiled as some of the other seasons in the past, but there still definitely were spoilers out there. And also, of course, too, I mean, this was a very unique season. Obviously, we discussed when it was filmed, but, again, this is the only season that we knew the cast and when they were filming and when they got back and things like that. And that's something we'll particularly maybe talk a little bit about Terry when he got back, which was kind of related to spoilers. Kind of people guessed something had gone astray with him. Astray, sorry, when we get that. But, I mean, Nick, did you know any spoilers at all coming into this season?
No, I knew absolutely nothing, to the point where I didn't even know Terry had come back. So I literally knew nothing. I'm way behind the eight ball on that stuff. Even when I'm looking for it, I can't find it. So, definitely completely unspoiled, and it was great.
Because New Zealand,
they try to look for spoilers, but they just can't do it.
It's illegal to spoil in New Zealand. Julian, did you know anything pre-season at all?
No, but I did see something. Some idiot posted on the Survivor Oz comments about the boot order, and everyone went skits at him, and I can't remember if it was right or wrong, but it got deleted pretty quickly. So that was the only potential spoiler I may have seen, and I did read it quickly, but then I tried to, I had a little, I think I just, snapped my laptop lid closed and freaked out. And then I couldn't quite remember it was good.
That's generally what people do when they see a new episode of Survivor Oz is up. Like, shit, close it.
Yeah, try that scream sound effect now. I was like, ah!
Oh, God, I'm really on shit on the sound effects today. Noah, did you know any sound effects at all? Sound effects. Did you know any spoilers? Ben!
I knew. And I don't know. I knew that Terry had come, that his son was back. I didn't know if he left, but it was very convenient that they started talking about it as soon as everyone got back or something like that. Mm-hmm. So that was one I'm kind of like, when they saw the preview of Jeff evacuating someone and it was between those 6 to KO people, I think it pretty much guessed at that point, well, Terry's probably going to have to go. And then you see things like people looking skinnier in their photos and that, and you're like, oh, maybe they went far. But the problem with that is everyone looks skinnier in their photos. So it's like, not everyone can make the final 3. So that wasn't really any spoilers. Like, Kimmy looked incredibly skinny, but so did everyone. And then Jeremy didn't even look that skinny at all. So, well, not fat, but he didn't look like he had lost weight. So that's not really a spoiler. And then the only one is, I saw someone tweet to Sierra, you suck, Sierra, or something, and you're going to be gone in 2 weeks' time anyway. And it turned out she did go in 2 weeks' time. But other than that, that's really all I knew. I didn't even know if there was spoilers or not for this season, because wasn't Heroes vs. Villains heavily spoiled or something?
Yeah, there was.
I didn't use the Survivor internet at that time.
The Survivor internet. The only one that, the Terry situation, I saw him post on, because when everybody got back, they were all on social media, hey, we're back, and then, of course, the day that Terry got back, it was like, oh, my son's not in a good way, he's had to have a heart transplant, hashtag, pray for Danny, all that sort of stuff, which, it was obviously, a lot of people put 2 and 2 together, that it kind of seemed very convenient that was the day it happened. So, I'm with you there, that kind of when we saw somebody was about to be, taken from the game, that it was sort of obvious in a way. But the only other one really that, it wasn't a spoiler as such, but Dan was very adamant to come on this show on the second week. He basically specifically said to me, Ben, I want to be on the second week. I'm like, okay, Dan, okay. And then when it kind of came out that the next person I'm about to talk to, Shireen, was voted out, he did admit to me that was the only spoiler he knew, and he wanted to specifically come on our show to talk about it that week. So that was...
Love it.
the only one that... I mean, I didn't know prior to it, but it was quite convenient that he came on the show that week. Speaking of Shireen, Takeo lost again next, and Shireen was next to go. It was between Shireen and Spencer, and Shireen went home. Of course, originally from Worlds Apart, just back-to-back seasons for her. Quite an interesting first time around, quite an interesting second time around. She had a very good first episode, Shireen, and then quite a bad second one. She went home. Julian, your take on Shireen's second chance?
I was a little bit disappointed, but I think at least she was still memorable for the 2 episodes that she was in. It was just crazy to see it all switch around, like, epic karma on her. Like, and the scene with her and Abby, where Abby just laughs at her, like, shit. Abby's like, but I was made a fool of. And then Shireen's
Abby
just like...
Good job.
Yeah, and she's like, they're voting for you, and she's seeing her face just, like, go basically white, like a ghost. And it was awesome. Like, it was really good scenes. And, I mean, yeah, I guess I would like to see her go a bit further, because I know a lot of people don't like Shireen, but I do think she's quite a good character in the new seasons of the show, so, yeah.
Nick?
Yeah, I'm not really a fan, I have to say, and I mean it's just what it is. I mean, I just don't really enjoy that character very much. I think that they did kind of play up the thing of, you know, she was bullied in her first season and then became a bully.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Oh, yeah, sorry. No, you were just cutting out there a little bit.
Yeah, they did do that.
That's true.
Sorry about that. And, yeah, so I think they kind of played that up a little bit and made that out to be more than it actually was on the show. And I think that was a little bit sneaky by the editors. So I think she got a bit of a bum rap in terms of her edit the second time around. But I agree with Julian that she did give quite a lot for 2 episodes. So that's good.
Noah?
Sorry, I might have just went anyway. This isn't double freaking Oz 7, is it?
Downloaded via iTunes.
But if you want to know what double Oz 7 is, and the Amazing Race, wow. But Eurovision, don't get me started.
The qualifying lap.
No. I didn't vote for her onto the show. I don't think she should have been on the list yet. I think if they were going to bring her back, they should have waited 4 or 5 seasons. She would have done much better. It's just too much with all she went through and then to come on straight away. And yeah, I think people were left with a bit of a sour taste after that reunion show. But I don't think she was a bully in this season. Like, I kind of agree with Nick. Like, I'm not a Shireen fan at all, but like, people calling her a bully, like, I don't really get where the bulliness is. Like, she treated Abby bad for an Alliance member, and she never talked to Wu, which clearly, if Wu's schooling someone on strategy, you know you've got something wrong going for you. But, like, I didn't really see her bully anyone necessarily. Like, she wasn't any different to Spencer or anyone else there. But, yeah, I was not sad to see her go, unfortunately, in second. I will say it was my favourite episode of the season. Not that it necessarily peaked at episode 2, but I thought episode 2 was an amazing episode. Like, easily one of the best of Survivor. Just the whole, it's either Spencer or Shireen, and you're going to have to vote for each other, and you're crying and sucked in, and Varna's taking control, and Terry's got the social game. Like, it was a really good episode. But I just don't think she should have come back so soon, and I think this proves that maybe she's not built for Survivor. Who knows? But maybe she'll get a third time. I don't know.
You can do it!
Sorry, she just needed some encouragement there. Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I was very high up on her after the first episode. I thought she was in with a very good shot of going deep, but yeah, definitely came full circle. And yeah, I agree with second episode with the whole Spencer versus Shireen, and once again, similar to Cagayan with Spencer, you know, so close to going home very early and went very deep. So that's Spencer for you.
We'll get to Spencer.
We will. I just want to quickly, one thing that I thought we would quickly just touch on, obviously we had our big, huge ranking cast last year, and just really quickly, Vitas, we originally had him at 119, And Shireen actually, of course, would not be on the list because she was on the season afterwards. Just quickly, do you think that makes Vetus go up or down? I kind of think it's kind of an obvious one there, Noah, with that.
Down.
Down? How far down? Just a rough sort of...
We were wrong to put him that high to begin with. It's like really, based
ranked
on
ahead of Jeremy.
Maybe 150.
Can I just point out, 119, Jeremy was at 120. So...
Well, they did finish at roughly the same spot, to be fair.
True.
But yeah, probably 170 now, I don't know, something like that.
Julian, would you drop him down that much?
I would put him somewhere around 200. I just felt like in Blood vs. Wolf, yes, he talked some good game. I'd say about 200 because I just sort of felt like he was just a little bit slimy still too. I don't know how he would have really... I don't know. He had a good brain for the game, but I don't know if he has the social game. So I have to penalise him for that.
Nick, what about you?
Oh yeah, I definitely put him down. I couldn't say how far, but yeah, he'd definitely take a slide. That's for sure.
Sure. And yeah, with Shireen, obviously we don't have one there, but we're actually we get a lot of people requesting us to update these, and Noah's actually come up with a fairly good idea to possibly do this every 12 months to at least update it.
But we're not doing the rankings cast again, though. I can.
No, we're not sitting down to do all 400 again. It would just be a brief. We'll get to it eventually. It's been a busy start to the year, and also confessional count. I will quickly. Maybe. Vita's had 3 confessionals and Shireen had 9 in her 2 episodes, which was nearly double the amount that Kelly Wigglesworth had in the entire season. Right, going on now to third boot. PG Law. Of course, at this point, the tribes were then split into 3 tribes after the Shireen vote. Angkor was the new tribe. So we didn't go over the tribe divisions at first, so we're not going to go back there. But Angkor was then consisted of PG, Jeff, Wu, Savage, Abby Marie, and Tasha. Bion had Monica, Kelly Wigglesworth, Stephen Fishback, Kimmy, Spencer, and Jeremy. And Takeo was Terry Dietz, Cass, Sierra, Joe, Keith, and Kelly. Just quickly, did we like this twist, the addition of the third tribe, Nick? Was it a good twist, did you think?
Yeah, I think it was a really good idea, and I'm glad that they mixed up the other 2 tribes as well, so it kept it all pretty random and interesting. I think the 3 tribe thing might be playing itself out a little bit, and the one thing I didn't like was that Angkor got put onto what sounds like a pretty shitty beach with no supplies, and so they were immediately going to be on the back foot regardless, which I think was a bit of a shame because the twist itself is really good, and I think maybe not executed as well as it could have been.
Mm-hmm. Julian?
Yeah, I agree with Nick. I thought it was pretty cool how they'd never done 2 to 3 before, and it would be cool if they just had kept it to 3 right to the verge, in my opinion. But yeah, no, it was good. It was really good.
Noah?
It just seemed very gimmicky from the get-go. I think I read online that it might be happening before the fact. I'm like, oh, this doesn't really sound like... This sounds like something they would do on Big Brother or something like that. But I was definitely open to it. I thought it was a cool, unique thing that would break things up. But in hindsight, maybe at 15, though, because there was just so many interesting things happening on both sides. We never really got to see what would happen with Bio, and would Cass really have been the first out? Would this have happened? Would that have happened? Who was in charge? And then, so fascinating on the other one, would Spencer have been a third boot and not made it to 3rd place or 2nd place? And would Varna really reign for the rest of the game, or would someone overthrow him? Did Terry Dietz really have the social game? And what would happen with Abby? Could she get along with PG? And who would be out after Spencer? There was just so much going on. I feel like that was kind of thwarted by breaking it up, and now the new dynamics will be will Abby or PG go, and Savage and Tasha will vote Varna out, and all this stuff. And it's kind of yeah, this Angkor thing was interesting for 1 week, but now it's kind of losing interest. So in hindsight, obviously they wouldn't have known what was going to happen, but maybe at 15, I would say. I'm not sure if I loved exactly the outcome. Like Nick said, maybe the execution wasn't the best, but the idea is good.
I think it was spoiled sort of pre-season because one of the buff websites had put out the buff for Angkor quite early. So
yeah, that's it.
I think that's kind of where that came from. So, but yeah, we Yes.
I was going to say that Shane was talking about it when he did that podcast with Rob, that he knew about it, and that was kind of the day after the cast kind of left. So how he knew about that as early as he did is...
Well, there you go. Maybe Shane had been doing something. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that comment. Anyway, shut up, Ben. That enjoys a sound effect, I think. I had to whack the microphone with it, as I'm sure people would.
I would have went with the fart one for that.
Yeah, would you? Good. All right. So the Angkor loses. PG law. PG goes. It's not the law of PG. It's just the name of the person. I was sad to see PG go. I like PG. I was so excited to see her back. I kind of knew she probably wouldn't go that far, sadly. But yeah, obviously she had a bit of a fight every now and then with dear old Abby. But bracelet gate, perhaps. Noah, PG, third boot.
Yeah, the first person on this list that I've actually voted for to get on. I was sad, but I wasn't devastated because I knew eventually a lot of my favourites would have to go, and she wasn't a favourite. She was someone I really liked and I voted on, but she was maybe 10th down the totem pole of like, well, I want Keith to stay and I want blah blah to stay, Varna and blah blah and blah blah. Like Bubba wasn't on the season, but you know, so
got more airtime than Kelly Wigglesworth.
Yeah. Probably, but I wasn't devastated, but I was kind of like, oh, that's a shame that PG left. But then you have to think, like, PG versus Abby, who would have made for a more entertaining season, and I guess you can put it like that. But yeah, she shouldn't have left. It should have been Savage or Tasha. It blows my mind that they let that happen, but that's what happens when you screw with Abby.
So interesting to think, again, how that would have been if Tasha goes. How does that all play out? Very interesting. The what-if scenario. Julian, PG.
I was disappointed because only for sheer fact that I was already irritated immensely by Savage by episode 3 with his whole victim, like, oh my God, it's happening to me again. I've been screwed over by a twist. It's like, that's Survivor is twists. And so I thought it would have been great had he have gone at this stage, and I just don't really like Tasha. Like, you'll hear me in the Oztopsies have some choice words for her, but yeah, so I was just disappointed. And I loved PG in China. She was a bit of a non-entity this season, but yes.
Nook?
I never really got the PG thing, and I never have. I don't understand quite why people think she's so great. You know, she was all right in China, but I didn't vote for her. There was nothing about her. No. So I wasn't sad to see her go. But having said that, I was kind of pissed off that the Takeo group couldn't stick together because, yeah, I was a bit like Julian. I would have quite liked to have seen Savage or Tasha have gone at that point. So that was a bit of a shame that didn't happen. But at the same time, I wasn't so sorry to see PG go.
Fascinating looking here at her ranking in our poll. I mean, I put her up, actually, so if I hadn't put her up, she would have gone even further. I mean, I think she played a fantastic game in China, but I don't know if I would think of this and put her this high. 82nd she came in our poll. She just beat out...
Oh, that's crazy.
She just beat out Albert Destrada and
high.
was beaten by Sash. Where would we put her now, Nick?
That is so funny that she's in between those two losing finalists who are so similar to each other. Like, they deserve together. So you should definitely bump her down a bit just so that those two can be next to each other. But yeah, I mean, I definitely would. I'd never have her anywhere near the top 100, but that's just me. I don't get what's so great about her. Like, in China, she wasn't. I think people kind of think of her as being the leader of the John Ho tribe, but that was really Jamie, which is kind of a funny thing to think about. That Jamie was really the one coming up with the crazy ideas to throw challenges and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, that's an absolutely crazy ranking.
Julian?
You're all nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty high, isn't it? To be honest, like, because I do like her, but she had a lot of fight in her, but that doesn't necessarily transcend into being ranked that highly, I don't think. Like, she was a scrapper. She gave it her all, and she didn't give up and all that, yada, 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 but she's got to probably be around 150 to 2... Oh, no, probably 150. somewhere around there.
Noah?
117.
117. So 117 was T-Bird, funnily enough. So
Oh, yeah, that's probably around about right.
no, nobody vetoed her either. I'm just looking here, so pretty clear-cut choice there. Poor old PG. Alrighty, moving straight along. We'll go over confessionals at certain points here. I won't go over them after every single person. The real one that I think pissed a lot of people off. This was the first real one that I was very disappointed with. Jeff Varner, our dear old Jeff, of course, from the Australian Outback. So popular. I don't think I've ever met anybody who did not like Jeff on this season on Australian Outback. A lot of people predicted him to win this season as well, but sadly it wasn't to be for Jeff Alicious. Julian, Jeff Varner.
Oh, so many good quotes, like, something just bit my ass, and everything basically that came out of his mouth. And just when he got voted out, him saying to Abby, "You little bitch," that was just choice. I loved him so much. And I don't know, like, it was a massive disappointment. But I had a bit of a sneaking suspicion because I knew that he was so great on camera. So I had the feeling that he's either going to go early and they're just utilising him as much as possible, or he would make it deep. But then I sort of get the feeling in these 20-people seasons that if someone makes it deep, they'll probably hold off on their confessionals a bit more for the first few episodes because they've got to give, screen time to the early boot. So yeah, look, he was just a gem, and the season was better that he was in it, and he made the pre-merge so exciting on both his tribes. So he was front and center of everything. So it was awesome.
Noah?
Yeah, this one hurt very much. Probably one of only maybe 3, maybe 4 people I was really devastated left. The rest I was kind of like, yeah, whatever, they're gone. But this one really hurt. Like, is there anyone who wasn't upset about this? I don't think so. I think Cable even said he was going to quit watching the freaking season. So everyone was upset about this. Kind of had it coming, though. He played not as good a game as I think a lot of people think he did. He definitely did some good stuff. He rallied the troops on week 2, but whispering to Wigglesworth and stuff like, yeah, if he wasn't caught, then maybe that would have helped. But even then, he was still on the bottom. He couldn't get the original Takayos to stick together. Even week 1, he was at Tribal Council saying, "No, I don't want this to be screwed up," and like putting a huge target on his back. And I think it came from playing too hard, too fast, because he just waited so long for this opportunity that he didn't want to screw it up. But ironically, that's part of what made his game fail, because he did screw up from playing too hard. So easily one of my favourite characters. I think people are very confident he'll return. I'm not as confident. I think there's a huge chance we will never see him back on the show, unfortunately. But such an amazing character, and I hope we see him again. But yeah, I hate to say it, maybe not as good as a player as a lot of people make out to be, but one of the best characters of all time for sure.
I just want to quickly say, before I go to Nick, to CBS, when it comes to putting Jeff Varner back on Survivor again...
You can do it!
Okay, Nick, Jeff Varner.
Well, just a little bit of background as to, what makes a good Ozcap is that I've got the season running in the background on my TV at the moment on mute. And I'm literally watching the Angkor tribe come back from the challenge that they lost before Jeff goes home, and he comes in, and I think what's easily forgotten is that he's limping like a motherfucker, like he can't walk. And I mean, the reason he got voted out was more than anything was that he was in such a bad way that he couldn't actually. So even if he had been able to talk his way out of it, he was just so unable to carry on because of his foot injury that he was toast anyway. So I think that needs to be remembered as well, that it wasn't just about the game he played, but that he did get injured, and that really didn't help. I mean, you guys have said it all. Amazing player, really great TV, and I mean, I think a lot of people were surprised he actually got on. Given that he was on so long ago, he was a pre-jury, and he came on, and man, was he a star for the 4 episodes he was on.
It's so incredible to think he's a two-time player that never made the jury. I mean, how good would he be on the jury? Like, he would just be absolutely fantastic. And, one of my favourite moments, I think, was in the very first episode when he was, I can't remember who he was having alliance with, and he's spieling on about everything, and he's like, oh, I just really hope there's not a spy shack behind me, or something like that. Like, just little things like that just make him such good TV. And if anybody hasn't watched Australian Outback in a long time, go back and watch it, because, I mean, he's just as good as he is this time around. I mean, he's gold. He's so good. 141 he came in on our poll. Was beaten by such players as Baylor Wilson, Marcus Lehman, Katie Collins beat him, Alina Wilson, the dirt squirrel.
That's her legacy. God.
It was hard to do this ranking thing, all right, with everyone. Okay, it was hard.
It was Colin who put him up too. So, Noah, would he be up or down after this?
Again, this was based on gameplay, not characters. If it was characters, he would be top 50. I hate to say, I would put him lower than that. I think we were probably a bit too generous. But he is still a decent player. He understands strategy. Again, like the 3-tribe twist, he just didn't execute it very well. So probably down a bit, I would say.
I'd like to do a quick side note here. He beat out Denise Martin from China by 2 spots. Paul vetoed Denise Martin coming in at 143. I love Denise Martin, but who vetoes her?
Justice.
I need to go back and listen to what his rationale was for that.
Sorry, I'm dying.
It's all right. Julian,
who vetoes Denise?
Who vetoes Denise?
I would leave him kind of where he is. Like it's maybe a little bit too high, but I don't know. Like, I feel he's got. You can't rank them on potential, I suppose, but I really feel like he could have gone a lot further both seasons that he was in. So yeah.
Nick, what would you do?
He's high variance, isn't he? Like he. I just think that we've actually seen the two times when it hasn't worked out all that well, but you can totally see him going all the way, maybe not winning, but definitely going all the way to the end. And he's just a very high variance player. He's never going to just coast along and do an Alina and get voted out at the merge, like what he did. But, he's not going to coast along. And yeah, so I think you see the highs and lows a lot more in a player like him, which is great for us.
It is. Next to go, there was a player in this season, Monica Padilla. That's interesting. Bayon finally lose a challenge, and it's bye-bye Monica. Of course, this came off the back, really, of trying to form an all-girls alliance. We got strategy from Kimmy! Let's just highlight the fact that Kimmy had strategy! Still excites me to see that. But yeah, dear old Monica. A lot of people question why she was on this season. A lot of people predicted she could win this season based purely on the fact that all returning player seasons often would have sort of the random person who nobody expects to go quite far. So yeah, Nick, dear old Monica.
No, I think you're a bit mean. I mean, she's
Is this a metaphor for Monica in the game?
Yeah. I mean, she definitely had some potential, I think, and it's, I think it just didn't quite work out on a season like this. I think people kind of spotted somebody that could go far without really being noticed, and just took care of business earlier than they might have on a regular season. So I didn't have an issue with her being on the season at all. I think that group of women, there was always going to be your kind of young, good-looking, it was designed that you'd have a couple of those type of players. So if it wasn't her, it was going to be Michaela or Natalie or whoever. So you were going to have them kind of regardless. So, yeah, I think she was fine.
Noah?
I think this was a mistake, a huge mistake.
To vote her out?
I didn't vote for her. I didn't vote for her. I was actually quite mad she was on the list, and I was mad that so many people were rallying against her. Nothing against her at all, because your interview with her, she was great. Like, she's really nice and like a really likable personality. And that was probably one of my favourite of the interviews you did for the campaigns. But she shouldn't have been on here. Like, she was on based on potential, and I know this is a second chance, but like Stephanie Valencia, she didn't go far, but in her short time, she was a big character. Monica, she did go fairly far, and yes, she stood up to Russell. Well, so did Betsy frickin' Boland. Justice for Betsy. She stood up to Russell too.
And she would have brought eye candy as well.
Everyone's done. Betsy is hot. So, yeah, that was my argument against Monica. Is like, yeah, she did stand up to Russell, but what is, other than the looks, what is the appeal? Like, she's not a very engaging character. Like, at least Stephanie was a villain, or at least Michaela had some more stuff going for her. So I was not a fan of this decision. I didn't think she would get picked, and it was very kind of annoying that she did, and she came on and really, she lived up to my expectation. Well, actually, my expectation was she would freaking win the game, but yeah, like, there were so many different options. I can't believe they went with this, and I am sorry to Monica, but, like, the argument was, on a season without Russell, she would be fine, but, like, if she's not going to be shown when Russell's on, she's not going to be shown against 19 freaking Russell camera whores, is she? So, yeah, she had potential, it fell flat, and she's probably going to go down as one of the most forgettable two-timers ever. At least Francesca has a notable thing against her name.
Julian.
Yeah, I don't think she really did anything wrong. Like, she was just a victim of circumstance. And to be honest, it was surprising that it wasn't either Wigglesworth or Spencer that went. I think they were just sort of itchy to do a move, and then, you know, they sort of thought I don't really think that she overplayed that much. It was just Kimmy kind of wanted to sort of show the guys that, you know, she was with them and stuff like that. And, I mean, they would have all been talking about different moves later on, to be honest, I think. So, I don't know. She was pretty boring, though, to watch in the season. But I actually thought that she could have been a lot better had she have got more screen time. Like, I don't know if she is boring at all. I think it's just her edit was shit. And there's got to be some of those in a season like this.
Well, I agree with Noel. Go back and listen to the interview that we did pre-season with her. She was actually very entertaining. And, you know, I reckon that given the right season and the right circumstance, she could be a very entertaining person. But sadly, we just didn't get to see it. And I straight away, when I was doing my pre-season rankings, like, right, she's going to win. And then I changed it at the last moment before I published what I was writing. And I changed it to Kelly Wentworth, and I had her as runner-up. So, and a lot of people did predict her to win. We had her at 198 on our rankings. She just beat Rick Nelson and was just beaten by Wesley Nail. So, I'm not going to go over. We're going to
leave her there.
If we're going to be here all night, if I keep asking where you
leave her there.
Leave her there. All right. See you, Monica. All right. So
you should also say Spencer saved once again.
Yes, well, Spencer saved once again. More importantly, Kelly Wigglesworth saved.
We should keep a tally of Spencer being saved.
It's a drinking game. Every time Spencer saved in Survivor, have a shot. Now, next person to go wasn't voted out. The very first person, would we say, to be actually pulled from the game that wasn't for medical purposes or quitting. Terry Dietz, the quintessential Nearly man when it came to actually being on the show. Finally got his second chance and very sadly was pulled from the game, of course. His son, Danny, had a medical condition and, as I think any family member would do in that situation, would leave the game. I mean, I would love for you actually to answer this question, because I'm not painting out that Terry didn't do this. I'd love to know what people's reactions would have been if Terry had been like, nah, he'll be right, I'm just going to stay in the game. Because... like, that, I mean, all jokes aside, that would have been a very interesting reaction on especially social media. But, yeah, very sad to see him go in these circumstances. Obviously had one good episode, similar to kind of Shireen, and then kind of fell in the background a little bit and was hopeful and didn't look like he was going to be around for much longer anyway. But, Julian, Terry, Dietz-alicious.
I don't know. You know, you said how would it be if he said, oh, no, I'll stay. I actually don't think they would have shown the whole thing at all if he had have chosen to stay. I think they wouldn't have, you know, like shown Jeff come up. I think they would have just left that out. But yeah, like I don't think I wasn't very excited for Terry to come back at all. Actually, like I was happy enough because I do like the old school players, but I don't know. I don't think he did have the social game that well from stuff that I'd read on social media. I know you can't always take that verbatim, but it did give a bit of an insight into how he was a little bit clueless with how he dealt with people like I think he said something minorly offensive to, maybe it was PG or something. Or, no, it might have been Abby, but it's Abby, so I'm not going to hold that against him, really. So I don't know. I think he. What am I getting at? I don't really know. Like, I think he was going to go soon anyway. Yeah, like you said.
Noah.
I've never been a huge fan of his, but of course I voted him on because it's Terry freaking Dietz. Him and Shane, again, as you said, the quintessential Nearly man. They should have been on by now. Like, they're always on the list of, oh yeah, Terry may be on the season. He's definitely deserving of being a returning player, even if I didn't like him that much. And like it or not, he is a Survivor legend, as is Shane. So while I wasn't necessarily rooting for, I was him back, and I was almost enjoying him more in this season, this time around. So it was just not something I was rooting for, but it was devastating. Like, he's waited so long, and I'm not saying that if it happened to anyone from a new school season that's any better. No one deserves to go through that, but just the fact that he had waited all this time since season 12, like always on the lists, and then he finally gets back, and this happens, is just really, really heartbreaking for him. People seem confident that he'll return. I hope that's true. He does deserve a real second chance. I'm not sure if it will happen, just based on how he never seemed to have come back all this time. But yeah, it really sucked. I'm glad they gave it a bit of airtime, though, and they actually didn't just rush over everything. But as for his game, he was on the bottom, but I think he would have made the merge. I don't see that Takeo tribe ever losing. I think he would have made it to the merge. Then he would have been a number in an alliance, or he would have flipped, or something like that. He's not the biggest physical threat as he once was, so Joe would be winning the challenges while Terry could kind of be the kind of one in the shadow like Keith was. So I don't think he would have been targeted straight away. He's not. Maybe he didn't have the best social game, but he wasn't annoying people like Abby Maria. So I think he would have done decently. I'm not sure if Terry Dietz can ever win Survivor, but people seem confident he would have gone next. But that Takeo tribe was very strong, not to mention that they switched it into two tribes anyway, not long after he left, or after Wu left. So I think Terry Dietz definitely had his time cut short. People seem to create this narrative, oh, he was going to go anyway, but I don't know, I don't really see that. So even more heartbreaking for Terry. Very, very sad.
Amazing.
Sorry, not Terry. Dietz.
Sorry. Yes, Dietz. It would have been amazing to see Dietz versus Joe come the merge, sort of like the old classic school guy up against Joe, and whether or not, like, if Joe had nearly gotten the record, and just, you know, to really sort of crack up against it, sort of one of the guys who holds the record, like, that would have kind of been cool. Nock, Dietz, what do you think of Dietz?
It wouldn't have been funny if you asked him if he'd said no and he was going to stay there, and it would have been this whole thing of like, did him and Jeff have like a Johnny Fairplay like deal going on, you know, to make up this story that actually wasn't the truth? That would have been pretty fun. Good but no, I mean, as I wrote a big feature article like probably about 18 months ago now.
Of course you did.
You're the only one who does.
Of why Terry should come back, and you know, this was ages before second chances, and you know, I think it's still pretty kind of relevant that I think he had the ability to look at his game, and it was very one-dimensional. It was about winning challenges, and if he had learnt anything, and we never really got the answer to that. You know, we kind of did, but not really. So yeah, it was a bit of a shame, but I mean, what other choice did he have? I mean, it would be really interesting if Danny was ever fit enough to go and they could do blood versus water, but I don't think that's something that's likely to happen.
I for one, well, yeah, I was just thinking that if exactly right, I think blood versus water 3, if it's again returning players, he'd be easily in the top few to try and get on at least anyway. So we'll see how that goes.
I don't think he could have ever turned down Jeff's thing though. Like, if anyone calls Terry Deitz a quitter, then you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think even if he said no, I think they would have pulled him from the game no matter what. So I don't think it's even really a discussion.
Good point. And we should report Danny doing fine now. Obviously, good news come out of that. And yeah, all reports looking strong there. Just looking here, we put him at number 51 on our list. Now, I'm a Terry fan, but is he number 51?
He was one challenge away from winning the season, though.
Good point. I'm looking at this going, fuck, we were dumb.
No, I stand by that. Maybe he goes down maybe 15, 20 spots. I stand by that for Terry Deitz. He was nearly won the frickin' thing.
Beat out Holly Hoffman, beat out Spencer Bledsoe.
You didn't put Camp at number 1.
I say that again. Sorry, I didn't quite understand your accent.
Shut up.
I actually didn't understand you. I seriously didn't.
I said you didn't put Cam at number 1, so it's a completely flawed list.
Who's come? Who's
come?
I tried to put her at number 1, but these bastards ganged up on me. So
I stand by Terry Deitz over Holly.
Yeah, let's not go there again.
Oh, goodness me. All right, next to go. Well, the tribes were then split back into 2 at this point. I wasn't a fan of this, considering that they did it straight away into a merge after this, but maybe you guys can discuss that a little bit further. Woo! Was next to go. A lot of people, who the hell voted for Woo? I really think that is the quote of the preseason. Just wanted to point that out there. But yeah, dear old Woo, voted out just before the merge, just before the jury. Nick, what's your take on Woo?
Well, I mean, the best part of it was, the Oztopsy that was done at the, right after the cast was released, and you replaced the Rupert quote with, who the hell voted for Woo, and that was hilarious. I was like, and I rewound and listened to that about 10 times because it cracked me up so much. But he's that kind of quintessential, right before the merge gone, doesn't really matter. Didn't really change the game. He's gone, and yeah, I mean, who cares really?
Julian.
I feel like I have to defend Woo a little bit because
get off.
Because you guys Noah hates him, you hate him. I didn't vote for him, but I thought he was a good person to have in the mix, and I can see why more casuals be like, oh yeah, the young kind of sporty looking dude. The dude, he was there was a lot of older guys in this season, so he was. And actually, I do have to say, if you don't mind me sounding a bit indignant here, that he was really quite good to watch this season. I thought he had more of understanding, or at least what he was given in airtime. It seemed like he understood things more. It was really good how he stood up to Shirin. He had some good scenes with Abby. I don't know. I got nothing really bad to say about Woo at all.
You're the only person in the world, apparently. Noah, who the hell put Julian on this podcast to defend Woo?
Woo was voted out next. No. I should give him some little talk. We should point out that Spencer saved once again. Add that to the tally. He was supposed to go.
Have a shot.
Woo shouldn't have been on the thingy. He really didn't deserve a second chance. I don't mean to be mean to Woo as a person, but just the way he took Tony to the end and all that. And he was hardly a big character in that season as it was. What do all the teenage girls love Woo and really want to see Woo back? Maybe. He got back on, so perhaps. But I wasn't a fan. And yeah, people have said that he learned and all that, but I think what sums up Woo's game is when Jeff Varner gets called a rat, and Woo's quote is, "Why am I always the last one to know about things?" So you could say that maybe he was a little bit more aware, but I think that really sums up Wu Huang's game, that he was saying that in front of everyone in the game. And they kept saying, oh yeah, Wu's with us. All we need to do is tell him the name 10 minutes before Tribal and he'll vote. Like, yeah, I don't know how much he really learnt. I didn't vote for him. Shane Powers was robbed.
210th he was put in our poll. So far the lowest of any of the returning players so far.
There was a leader Wilson again.
I put him up actually, and Paul and Colin vetoed that choice. Was just beaten by Jenny Goots on by, and just beat out. Well, I tried to put up Lisa Welchel, but your bastards fucking vetoed that. So just beat out Christy Smith. And interestingly, Wu, well, I guess he was the runner-up, and Kelly Wentworth was quite early. Beat out Kelly Wentworth, just looking here on this list. So there you go, dear old Wu. Now, just before we get to the merge, let's just quickly go over the confessionals up until this point. So PG had 7. Varna had 16. Quite a significant amount, of course, considering he's obviously very entertaining. Monica had 6. Terry had 7 and Wu had 11, believe it or not. So that is the state pre-merge. We then merge. Hello, Orange Buffs. Good to see a non-black buff.
13 people.
For a merge. 13 people, of course. Yes, thank you, Noah. Biggest merge ever. And Orkun, O-R-K-U-N, Orkun, was the name, which we never got seen described on. Was there a deleted scene with that? Did I not see
There
it?
was, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Good to see I watched them. So, first to go, post-merge, Cass. Now, I'm interested to hear from Julian here. Julian, I know, absolutely loves Cass, and I love Cass too. Who doesn't love Cass? Oh, I suppose a few people, but very entertaining. She was very calm Cass this season until Chaos Cass eventually seemed to come out from under the shadows, and yeah, Julian, I'm going to start with you because it's your lover. You love Cass.
She's my lady of love. Well, there's so much to say. Like, I feel like she was one of the best people to embody the idea of a second chance. Like, she really did take the fact that she was just a bit too abrasive quite seriously, and she, you know, like, I think the early merge definitely hurt her because Savage was probably going next, and they never, you know, and sort of just the scrambling, and I think when she gets put on the defensive and backed into a corner, sort of everyone said, oh, well, she got Chaos came out, but I feel like she sort of had to try that anyway because she was backed into a corner, so you've got to try something at that point because it was just an easy name for everyone to sort of bring up, and everyone was just sort of going with it because as long as it's not me at that point. So I don't know, like I think that she did have a few graces, the fact that she didn't have to go to Tribal Council early, like in the first 2 votes, was really in her favour because otherwise that would have been an easy vote for a lot of people just because of her reputation. But I think she changed a lot of people's minds about her, and the fact that she actually can be a good listener and she can be quite personable and she's smart and funny and all these things that we love about Cass to watch. I think the people, you know, she can be a massive bitch if she wants to be too. She's one of those people that is a really complex character, and I don't know, like I think the fact that she did have a bit of a social game, and I think the fact of the rankings, she has to go up way in the rankings. We're talking most people should go down, but no, I was so offended with how rude you are to Cass, just because she kind of paid you out. I feel like you take that personally and hold it against her. So,
wow.
Yes, go up. Sorry, Noah. Had to put that out there.
I'm going to save Noah for last because I just want to hear Nick quickly because he's in the middle, Piggy in the middle. So then we'll go to Noah. I just called you a Puggy.
Puggy on the middle.
Puggy on the middle, Nook.
You just couldn't help with the accent, eh? Just got it kicks in after a little while.
Can you say Piggy in the middle?
Piggy in the middle.
Sorry, Nick. Continue.
It's nice to be taken seriously around here. That's what I love.
All those articles you write.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she obviously wasn't as entertaining as she was the first time around, which was a little bit disappointing. But you know, I think it was good that she got to the jury because we got to see her on the jury, which is great. yeah, I would have loved to have seen more of her throughout her time, but what we did get was interesting and it was different, which is quite cool. That we didn't just get a replay of who she was the first time around, but we actually saw a bit of a different side. So, and that's always quite cool when you've got people coming back. So, yeah, it was definitely kind of pleased with what we got. Disappointed she went when she did, but yeah, that's how it goes.
All right, Noah.
I don't think Cass improved all that much at all. She made Kelly Wentworth a bracelet. She called herself Calm Cass. 1 week later, she's calling people out. She's the epitome of chaos in the tribe. One thing you have to remember about Cass is she only went to 2 tribal councils and she went full reign. Of course she was nice, Cass. She was never actually doing anything. She didn't have to. It was just like, yeah, Bion strong. We're all Bions. Then when she gets to tribal council, she did one thing, which was a pretty good move with the guys to get Wu out. Props there for sure. Maybe more of a Sierra thing, but definitely have to give her some props for that. And the next tribal council, she was causing freaking chaos everywhere and she got voted out. People like, oh, Cass, she was going to be the first boot, but she's doing really good and she's not the first boot. Well, that's because she never went to tribal council until week like 6 or 7. So, definitely not up at all, like maybe 10 spots higher. If anything, she may go down.
But I think she was ranked so low. Like, she could have won it if she was against Wu in final trouble.
No. Wu would have won that season in a heartbeat, maybe 9-0, maybe 8-1. Wu would have won that.
Disagree.
Casper Quillen does not win Survivor ever.
She's got more strategy and gameplay than Wu. I think she.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree.
Tribal council speech.
I definitely agree that she has more strategy than Wu, and I think Wu is a bad Survivor player. That would have been like one of the worst final 2s in terms of quality ever. So I'm with you that she's a better strategy, has better strategy, but she made some god awful moves, and she had one of the worst social games ever. Social game definitely improved this time around. She was friends with Sierra. I think Wentworth was friends with her too. Yeah, Sierra and Wentworth. Abby, maybe. So, yeah, if anything, maybe 5 spots higher. Yeah.
Ben, what do you think? Because I think the fact she was ranked so low in the rankings cast is a travesty. What was she supposed to do at the merge then flip?
I would have had her lower if I had my way. I think she may have even got vetoed at one point, didn't she?
She got vetoed at 297.
I would have had her lower than where she was. And I love Cass.
That's a travesty.
297, and then she eventually went at 262.
I voted for Cass, but just because she's a great character doesn't mean she's a great player.
I never said she was a great player. I just said she's ranked way.
Just because she's a great character doesn't mean she's a good player.
It's so fascinating with Cass, because the difficult thing I have with it is that I absolutely love her as a person and as a character.
So do I.
But if you analyse her game, I probably think that she improved slightly on her ranking where we had her at 262. I think she did improve on her second time around. I see what Noah's saying, that she didn't go to tribal. But I mean, there was I talked a lot about it during the season, that she was so different she was improving immensely with her social game, and that's a lot of what was her downfall first time around. It was the volatility that she had, and I honestly think that she was a bit done over by the whole Tasha situation, because all she really did was call out Tasha for not telling the truth, and that was what led to her downfall. Had she survived that situation, for sure, I think she could have made it further.
But the thing was, Tasha kind of didn't do anything super wrong there. She didn't need to call out Tasha. That was her own fault.
I can see that, but I also think that, she was just doing it for the sake of trying to get further in the game.
Chaos.
To see. Well, I don't think it was. I mean, they edit and they try to paint her as chaos, but I don't think that chaos element was there as much this time around as it was first time around. Could she have won this season? Well, I said to Noah during the season, I said, well, look, she could. You never know. Like, she had a very slim chance. And Noah was adamant, I'll eat a hat and I'll do this. And fair enough, you were right, Noah. Congratulations. But, I mean, I would put her higher on that overall ranking than 262 now based on this game. Not like top 200, but, I would raise her higher than that.
10 spots.
10 spots. So she would go 252. She would take out Dave Johnson and just still be playing Nick Brown.
This is where we need Joppy back on the podcast. He'd have my back here.
Well, let's just talk about something we can all agree on, which is that even though this was an awesome season, that was a shitty merge episode, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there was so much that they didn't really show. Like I felt because so much going on, and yeah,
it was a merge episode. We hadn't heard that in a while. Not boingy boingy. Oh, Morgan. All right.
Like
Andrew Savage was next to go. Impressed a few people on this episode, no doubt. He basically finished in the same spot, didn't he, this time around? He was on the jury at least this time. But yeah, a very interesting game. Got a lot of airtime and divided a lot of opinion on this show as well. Nick, Mr. Andrew Savage.
Oh, I think he made a good little villain, didn't he, for a little while there? And I think most people were pretty satisfied that he had a humiliating exit and all that kind of thing. But I thought he was entertaining TV. I was glad he had a second shot, but it pretty much went kind of how I expected it would. He was. It's interesting that he was the target at that point. When you think that Kelly could have taken out anyone with that idol, and she could have taken out Jeremy, but she took out Savage, and really it just seemed like because he was a bit of a douchebag more than anything else.
Big tribal council, we should mention. Good point there. And this is one of those ones that people talk up this season for being so good because of this tribal council. And I mean, it was an entertaining tribal council, don't get me wrong, but it's not like we hadn't really seen something like that before. But anyway, Julian Savage, and I guess you can talk about the tribal council as well.
That was he was good. Like I didn't like him, and I didn't like him much in Pearl Island either. And I feel like he only has one way of playing, and that's just like get all the like challenge and strong people together. And I just think that like he just had a real arrogance about him, and a sort of entitlement. But that made him a great villain, and that was his mode. Like I mean, he's just sort of like all the strong people, not the whingy little non-leaders and all that. Like he was I was sort of ready to see him go, but he was good. He was good TV, like Nick said.
Noah.
Do you want me to talk about the Outcast twist or something like that?
Oh God, no! We're not going back to that Ozcap. No.
Savage was not. No. I voted for him because I think he is a big enough character to warrant a return, and he is a Survivor legend. But it doesn't mean I think he was robbed, because he wasn't robbed in Pearl Islands, and maybe I can explain that another time. But he wasn't robbed, and I don't think he was screwed over by a twist, as he said in the thing, because Sandra. Yeah, all right, I'm not going to get into that. I've talked about that, but I voted for him to be back on. I was never rooting for him to win, but I was rooting for him to make the merge. In fact, I was rooting for every pre-merge player to make the merge, like all of them who were pre-merge originals. I was satisfied with his 2-season run. Like, I didn't necessarily want him to go further. He was a bit of an arse, but he made really good TV, and maybe he's not the best Survivor player, and he's very much centric on the alpha males and stuff like that. But he definitely made for some good TV, like he was swearing his head off and stuff like that when things don't go his way. It's just funny and over-the-topness and just like the douchey vibes. But it made for great TV, so I'm glad Savage made it. It was a really good idol play. Like, the moment, it was kind of obvious that she would pick Savage, but it still made for great TV. And yeah, good 2-season run. Don't need to see more of Savage, but I'm glad he was on this one because it was funny.
had my Nick Chester moment where I was spoiled about the outcome of this one because I hadn't seen the episode, I think, till like the Friday, and Cable had tagged me on Facebook about what an epic tribal council it was. So, fuck you, Cable. And Savage came in 195th. He was just beaten out. Well, Noah tried to put Reed up, but Reed was vetoed, so then you put up Eric Cardona at 194, and Jay Byers was 196. So there you go, Savage. Now, alright, let's get into this because... alright, this is where the next hour and a half of this episode is going to be directed at Kelly Wigglesworth. Voted out next, the third jury member, day 24, a day that will live in infamy. Kelly Wigglesworth voted out Survivor Cambodia. Now, look, I need to get in a rant here because fuck you, CBS. I don't care. I've said this so many times on our Oztopsies, but to this day, this woman is the epitome of Survivor legend. She was the first runner-up. She was one vote away from being the very first winner of this show. She is a legend, an icon of whatever you want to say of Survivor, and to treat her the way you treated her with her edit, to give her a measly 5 fucking confessionals in the entire season was bullshit. Yes, she wasn't probably going to ever win this season, but you need to be ashamed of yourself, CBS, because she needs to be seen more. So, fuck you, CBS. Fuck you. Noah, Kelly Wigglesworth.
Day 24 on all future seasons. We'll just come up with Kelly Wigglesworth Day from now on rather than Day 20.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I read online about this behind-the-scenes conspiracy as to why she didn't have a big edit or whatever. And I call BS on that. That's ridiculous. It was simply a fact of, 90% of Survivor fans said pre-season, oh, she's going to be Purple Kelly, just based on her pre-season interviews where she, kind of talked like this, and I'm kind of excited to go back on Survivor, and it's going to be really fun, and I reckon it's going to be kind of different to the first time. And she lived up to that reputation. She was Purple Kelly, not for the first 2 episodes, but all the Survivor fans were right. So I call BS on whatever this big conspiracy was about her edit. But it was ridiculous. And I don't think you can defend it. People have tried. And Colin tried on the Ozcap. And I couldn't see his way at all. And here's the thing, I'm not saying give Kelly Wigglesworth a 30 confessional edit or anything like that. I'm just saying show the damn woman at least once. Just show her. Show her talk. The most we ever saw of her was when she was jumping up and down when Keith was driving the Toto. That was the most we ever saw of her. It was the only time we saw a smile from her. Even on her boot episode, we got 1 confessional. She doesn't need to be Spencer or Jeremy or anything like that. But a single confessional of, oh yes, I'm going home tonight, but hopefully they vote out Monica instead. Because then at least we have some doubt that Monica might not go home that night. At least do something. Oh yes, Jeff Varner spoke to me across the tribes, and now that's going to put a big target on my back. Something! Anything! It was ridiculous. So again, I'm not saying she needed to be the biggest character. Just show her and show some respect for your damn legacy. You had to know she wasn't going to be the most exciting character when you cast the damn woman. So the least you could do is at least find some moments, because in her secret scenes, she told the story fine. It's not like she's as boring as people make out she was. Monica Padilla was not that much more exciting than her. Wu Huang was definitely not more exciting than her. So at least you could have some storytelling confessionals in there. People have tried to defend it. I don't think there is a defense. I think it was disgusting, and a big part of the ride this season is not top 5. I just had a huge bitter taste. Also, I'm not going to go on about it, but why did they vote Kelly Wigglesworth out then? Stephen was so intent on making a big move. I don't understand it to this day. I know they're trying to cripple Joe or something, but really, I think they just wanted to say, oh, look, I voted out this big Survivor legend more than anything. So we could go on and on, but it was really, really disappointing.
Preach, brother. Amen. Julian.
I pretty much agree. I do think that she was probably the worst confessionalist of this season, and that's why she wasn't shown that much. But honestly, like, I saw her secret scenes. They're not that bad. They could have given her a better treatment somehow. Like, there's room for working with her a bit more, because, you know, like, her Ponderosa video was nice and all that. Like, I just feel like it is a bit of a shame that she was overlooked, and especially on her boot episode, the fact that she barely got anything is just that's not really good ever. I mean, I know you don't want it to be too much that is obvious, especially after I haven't had much all season, so it kept it sort of, I guess, a little bit unpredictable, but yeah, no, it's not really good enough, is it?
No, it's not. Nick?
You'll feel better. He's got that out of your systems, your little crybabies. Just deal with the fact that she's not that interesting. She's actually not. She's pretty boring, and excuse me, the reason why she was on the show so much the first season is because she was an integral part of the story, the same as somebody else who's coming up pretty soon. And they had to show her. This time she wasn't an integral part of the show, so they didn't have to show her, and they just had more interesting people to talk to, quite frankly. And yeah, it kind of sucks, and they probably shouldn't put 20 people on the show if they're not going to give them all some screen time. But, you know, I didn't miss not seeing her. She's pretty boring, and yeah, I didn't vote for her to get on the show. And, you know,
This is why you haven't been on Ozcap. Get back to your writing.
But why vote for her? I mean, she's quite clear that she had no interest in
She was on the very first season. I would vote for Dirk Bing to return if he was on a list, because he was on the first season.
I would vote for Stacey Stillman.
Yes.
Careful, she might sue you.
I just don't get that argument. I mean, you put people on who are interesting. You don't put them on because they were on.
But I kind of
first
reject that notion, though. That it seems to be this revisionist history of, well, actually, Kelly Wigglesworth wasn't that interesting. I thought she was an extremely fascinating character in the first season of this young 20. I think she was only 21 or something at the time. She was kind of this hippie girl. She was a bit of a brat at sometimes, a spoilsport, but she was extremely grown up at the same time. She was this young girl battling Richard Hatch, Rudy, and Sue Hawk. She screwed everything up. She wanted to be with the MTV crowd. She was an integral part, and I thought she was an extremely fascinating character. Maybe not so much now. She's just a mum, a yoga mum, whatever. But I don't know, this revisionist history of, oh, well, actually, she wasn't interesting. I'm not sure about that. Each to their own, but
I agree with that.
Yeah, well, I guess so. I mean, she was interested in the fact that, you know, if she had won the show, then it would have been a completely different, you know, trajectory that we would have been down. But the fact that she came back and went, well, you know, she could have gone back and gone, oh, well, the game's changed, and I realised why I didn't win, and I'm going to do things a little bit differently. But she came back and went, no, I haven't watched anything, and I'm just going to do exactly what I did last time. It didn't work, but, you know, it'll probably work the second time around. I mean, that's
it was working for a while.
And I think that I disagree with that. I think we at least got in the episodes we saw of her, she did show that she was trying to change things up and show a bit of strategy. Yeah, she admitted pre-season that she didn't. I mean, she admitted on the interview we had with her back in 2012 that she didn't even watch her season. But I think the fact she came into it, she tried, and then she said in the very first episode that she's going to try and do things differently and change it up.
And episode 2, she's like, oh, crap, Vetus was voted out. This is not whoever builds the shelter is going to go far. I really need to get going, and I need to cling on to Varna, and we really need to go a bit faster in this game. So she was at least thinking, whether or not she executed very good strategy, she was at least thinking about it.
Well, I guess so, and I'm probably never going to convince you guys, so, I mean, I'm just
I think we're at a loss here. We should probably just move on.
I've never been so excited to have a player return ever than having Kelly Wigglesworth back. And unless they bring back Elizabeth to play another season or something like that, I don't think I'll ever be as excited. Or Brian, I don't think it's ever going to happen. And, you know, so this will be the peak of my fascination.
And can we also just say, like, Kelly Wigglesworth returned?
Yes.
Like, imagine saying that 1 year ago, that, oh, by the way, Kelly Wigglesworth, well, maybe not 1 year, because that's around when the list came out, but, like... Just think about that for a minute. That was not something that would ever happen.
We lost our shit in, what was it, Cagayan, when they mentioned her name. Oh my God, they mentioned Kelly Wigglesworth! And she's coming back.
But sometimes it's good when people don't come back, when you just leave their legacy as it is without them having to come back and, pretty much guarantee that they'll ruin that legacy. Sometimes it's nice if they just leave it.
Do you think she ruined her legacy?
Well, it certainly hasn't gotten better, that's for sure.
No, it hasn't gotten better, but I just wonder if people think that it's been ruined or not. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
I honestly think it doesn't, just because she's such a legendary figure of the show. It's kind of like Richard Hatch. I don't think Richard Hatch's legacy was ruined by All Stars. But some people disagree with that. I think you disagree with that, Noah. But I just don't think it does because, just the iconic nature of who they are and what season they were on. It's just they're always going to be a revered figure. 43rd, she was ranked in our list. I vetoed that. No one else did. She just beat out Big Tom.
Absolute madness. That is absolute craziness.
She was one vote from winning the damn thing.
Not really. I mean, she was never ever going to get a fourth vote. I mean, that's
one vote.
She was if she picked the right number.
You don't get more money for getting 10 votes like Jeremy did, or 4 votes like Richard did. I mean, at the end of the day,
but it's better than Will Sims.
Ever going to get them.
We should also point out
that's on her business card. Kelly Wigglesworth, better than Will Sims.
We need to point out she's actually received more airtime on this episode than she did in the entire freaking season.
You're welcome, Kelly.
Surely she has to drop from 43 though now, quite a bit.
Really? I would say no lower than 60.
Yeah, I agree with that.
143, mate.
Oh, who's 143rd? Hang on. 143rd. Denise Martin! No one vetoes Denise Martin!
It always comes back to Denise.
She had no strategy.
Did Denise Martin?
Her strategy was to lie at the reunion to get extra money. Oh.
It always comes back to Denise every time.
Oh, my God.
Dear. Who's next?
She had strategy in Borneo.
Sierra Easton. Oh, God, Noah's wet dream. Bye-bye, Sierra. Let's start with you, Nick. I don't really have much to say on Sierra.
Oh, my pick to win pre-season, and that worked out real great for me. Yeah, I mean, I think she probably had a bigger target on her back than I kind of realised before the season. I thought that she would be, somebody that would kind of lie low under the radar, but what I realised pretty quickly is that everybody had their finger on the pulse of what she was about, so she was kind of dead meat before anything ever really started. I don't think she ever really had a chance to win the game. And that's a bit of a shame because I think she's definitely got the skills, but this just was not the season for her.
Julian?
Yeah, she basically just no one trusted her for a lot of different reasons, and she was sort of, I feel like Spencer was the same sort of modern player, like I'll change it up, but something about her just didn't sit well with people. Sort of, I feel like people felt they could work more with Spencer than her, and I give her props for the way she played both times. Actually, I feel like she does put a case pretty well to people in many ways, and I really like the way that when Savage, like how she just was like hell no, when Savage was like whatever he said to her, like we'll just put your name down or something. So she's not just a passive player, and I really love the women players that can be a little bit more aggressive, even though they sometimes get maligned for it, like Cass. But we won't start that again. So yeah, no, I love her. I mean, yeah, like I'm not surprised that she went where she did at all, though.
All right, Noah.
I don't think I'm going to be as over the top as you think I would, but I do think she gets underrated, though, because, again, there's this thing of, well, actually, the mother thing wasn't good, so that way everything Sierra does is bad. How dare she say play to win? That's the worst thing you could ever say in the game, and all this stuff, and it's just kind of like, whatever. She's a good character who tries to make good TV. Not everything she does is great play, but she does try in the game, and she is a very charming player, and she ended up kind of being voted out because she was gaining power and people were kind of letting her become a leader and a major strategist. And she was always in the strategy conversations. Her kind of thing is like, oh, Sierra always just talks about the numbers, which it is kind of, she is kind of very game body, especially in this season. But I like it. We didn't get to see much of her preseason because she didn't really go to tribal council, but she really flowered later on. Flowered? That was a dumb thing to say. Later on in the season, but she did good, and I was a huge fan of her. Voted for her, and I genuinely think she'll be a 3-time player because she's a guarantee to at least try and make big things to happen. And Jeff Probst loves big moves. So she had a good showing. Like, she's up there as, like, definitely in the top half of players this season, maybe top 8 or something. I don't know. So yeah, I liked Sierra. I still do, and she should come back again. I think she's got unfinished business.
Sorry, I kind of preempted your finishing there. 77th, she came in on our Lost. Beaten out by Greg Carey and beat out Eliza Orlands. I put her up, and Colin vetoed it. So there you go.
I would leave her around about there.
Thanks, Sierra. Stephen Fishback was next. 36 from New York, New York. I just love seeing that bit there. Very interesting game from Stephen. Went from a bit of crybaby-itis to being voted out-itis. That made no sense at all. Noah, Stephen Fish on his back. Thanks for that grunt laugh.
He was an interesting player. I voted for him to get back on. I'm not sure if I was necessarily rooting for him to win or anything, but I wanted to see him play again. He really didn't want to make the same mistakes as the past. That was evident. He didn't want to go to the end with the golden boy and lose and get 0 votes, which towards the end it looked like maybe he would have went to the end with Jeremy and the same thing would have happened. Who knows? The what-if scenario, we'll never know for sure. But definitely a major character in the season. Like, he was responsible for a lot of the big moments in the season. A very fascinating edit because week 1 and 2 and even 3 he got this big goofball edit, which was just so confusing because that was episode 1 Token Sheens. Stephen, they completely disregarded all of the growth that his character arc had throughout the entire season of Token Sheens and just reversed it back to episode 1 of the geeky boy when Sandy called him, oh, that guy looks like a geek. And the same thing happened again. So it was really interesting. And like Savage, Fishback, he's telling them that you're looking for idols.
Wimpy little non-leader.
Yeah. So I wasn't upset when he went home just because it was a good, glorious 2-episode kind of goodbye arc. He made a lot of good moments of the season, but I'm not sure as a player. I do think he was too hung up on Joe. I think he was a bit too emotional. He really didn't want to make the same mistakes. So I think I gave him a B- in my report card. Maybe I'd make it a B, hovering between like B- and B. I don't think he was as good as many people make out, but he definitely had some things going for him, but also had a lot of mistakes.
Mr. Chester.
Yeah, I was a big fan, and I kind of related to his struggles throughout the whole time because I figured that's what I'd be like. I'd have these good ideas and just not be good at executing them. And yeah, I mean, I really liked Stephen's story throughout the whole season, and I really liked that he had this kind of epic double episode finish to his season, which was really fun. So yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed seeing him back. I didn't think we'd ever see Stephen back on Survivor. He was one of those ones I thought would not want to go back, and so I'm really glad he did. And yeah, he was a good. He provided really, really good TV, and it was really fun to watch.
Julian.
Yeah, I think he was a really big part of this season, and I didn't expect him to go this far. Like, I was like, oh, they're going to definitely target him being the know-it-all and all that. So it was good to see that he defied that. But I feel like his advantage that he won, I feel like that kind of worked against him, like a big part of why he was sort of voted out on that vote. So I don't know about, like, we haven't really spoken about that twist or the fact that the idols were hidden in challenges, which I think we should touch on. But
feel free to discuss, Julian.
Well, I enjoyed it quite a lot.
Good.
What do
I'm
you
glad.
think, Ed? No, yeah,
I
don't know.
agree,
There's probably not that
Julian.
much to say. Like, I think Kelly Wentworth in the first episode, though, that how exciting was that? Like the tension of that. Yeah, hopefully they can do that even more in other seasons and sort of build upon it. But I don't know about this vote doubler, or is it a vote doubler or a vote stealer? I'm even confused what they did. Stealer, yeah.
Yeah, get rid of this stupid gimmicky stuff.
Feel free.
Yeah, I'd
Nick
like to see it work better, but it still hasn't. So I don't know if it will.
Feel free, Nick and Noah, if you really want. I mean, yeah, we should have really mentioned that as an integral part, or at least 2 episodes of finding the idol in the challenges, which I personally enjoyed. I loved it. I think it was great. The one bit that I was disappointed with, we didn't end up seeing the one idol looks like a real idol, the other idol looks like a piece of shit. Like, that never was shown.
That never eventuated.
But, yeah.
Can I just add, I have a bit of a bone to pick about that idol. I don't know what episode we're up to in the sequence of this, but that idol that Jeremy found at night, that just seemed way too easy, and I didn't like that at all. So I enjoyed the scene where Kelly found her second idol, but I think maybe that was a bit too easy as well. So I hope they have to be a bit careful with that in future seasons.
You had to be from season 29 to win, find an idol.
Yeah.
Sorry, Noah.
Season 29 this season just rocked it. But, yeah, I think the challenge thing was a good idea, but apart from the Kelly thing, it was just not that exciting. If anything, it was easier than just looking for it around camp, and it was just kind of like, it was good, but I hope they don't continue it, because it kind of didn't work, I think, the way they wanted it to work.
And now it's obvious, because in the new season, sorry to just interrupt there, I feel like other people are going to be watching for that, so it's sort of like...
not 32, but maybe 33.
Yeah, from then on, so I don't know.
Nick, do you have anything to add?
I thought it was really good hiding them in challenges. I think the thing about the advantage that Stephen got, I think it doesn't work if nobody else knows what it is. I think you need to be upfront about exactly what it is. I think that kind of balances out the power of it. And it also kind of makes it less of a target on him as well, because everybody knows what it is. I think when they've got no idea what it is, then they're just going to want to get rid of him, because it could be so powerful that it could blow up any of their games. Mm-hmm. So I think it should be something that nobody else, that everybody knows about, sorry.
I quite enjoyed the situation when we had, Stephen and Spencer swimming out to get the advantage. That was quite entertaining. Just a really quick question. You only give me one answer. I don't want any explanation, because we don't really have time. Stephen and Rob Sestonino often compared to each other. They're both 2-time players now. Based on their 2-season arc, who comes across as a better player, do you think, Noah?
Rob. Stephen.
Rob Steven. I'll go rob my father then.
Rob Stevenson.
This is really tough. This is a really tough question, hey? I'd have to say probably Steven, give him the edge now.
Okay, Nick?
Yeah, I think probably Stephen, but it's tough.
It's a good question. There's an article in there, Nick. There you go. You're welcome. You can write that.
Poor Nick.
I feel like we would get in trouble if we wrote that article.
I feel like he's just going to be like, fuck that. We've been told to do something.
Stephen's come on the show now. We're safe. We can write about him, so it's all good. Now, Stephen was originally ranked in 39th, so quite high. He actually beat out Natalie White, so he beat out a winner, according to our list. So there you go. And I put him up.
Lower.
Kate
50.
and Colin tried to veto that as well, so could have made it quite high. There you go. Okay. I don't know why I'm speaking American. So we're going to try and cruise through this a little bit, because we're trying to get this under 3 hours, and we're getting close to the 2 hour mark. Nick, it's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning for you. You're still up. Don't you have work in the morning? Go away.
Yeah. It's not that important.
Oh, it's all right. Good. Well, this person probably won't be spoken too much about us, because we've all got penises. Joe Anglam was next to go. Actually, maybe one of us will talk about him. Sorry, Julian. Just segregating certain people with penises. Good job, Ben.
I'd segregate his penis.
Oh, there it is.
Whoa.
There it is.
I don't even know what that means, but it sounds dirty.
Whoa.
Hang on a minute. That deserves a... the Julian Gronenberg Memorial sound effect. Let's start with Julian.
Well, him and Morgan should have babies because they'd sell for pretty hot babies. Yeah. Joe.
I feel like Cruella de Vil would steal them for their fur. Obviously, we're all big fans of 101 Dalmatians. All right, moving on.
Joe was good this season. I don't know. I think just he was overhyped, so it sort of made you get a bit over him because of all the. I don't know, like even again in the reunion show, so much time spent on him. It's just like, but he's likable enough. There were some good moments. That was pretty. I mean, he did fight really hard. You have to give him like some kudos for his challenge prowess. But there's not really that much to say. Like I think he is really wishy-washy, and I think he tried to talk a bigger strategy game this season, but I don't think he ever knew what he was doing. So he didn't make his mind up because he just wasn't that. He's not strategically that good to know what he should do. So he's just sort of like, oh yeah. I don't know. I mean, I was worried that he was going to go on a winning streak and get to the end, and that would have been lame because we just kind of saw that in Worlds Apart. So I'm glad, I guess, he went when he did. Glad he got to see his dad in the family reward. That was nice.
Nick?
Kisses dad, you mean?
Yeah, kisses galore. Go on.
Yeah, that was interesting. Anyway, I think what I was a little bit worried about was because, Savage had put that thing in his exit interview about something that we've never seen before was going to happen. And I was worried it was going to be Joe winning his way all the way to the end. So I was glad when that didn't happen. I don't really get the whole Joe hype, but I don't think I'm supposed to either. So that's pretty much all I've got to say.
Oh, he's so hot, Nick. Noah, Joe.
Yeah, this is a big part of why I wasn't as high on this season as a lot of other people were. I found it incredibly tedious and annoying that every week, and this is not Joe's fault, he was trying to win the freaking thing, but it was just every week it's like, well, Joe wins immunity. Then Joe doesn't win immunity, but he doesn't even go home on the time that he doesn't win immunity. It's like, oh, are you freaking kidding me? And then it was just, Joe wins immunity. And then it was like, are they seriously going to vote Abby Maria out over Joe? How could they do this? Luckily they didn't, but it was just so tedious, and like all the Joe hashtag Joga, and Joe's building us hammocks, and Joe's doing this, and it was just, again, it's not him, it's the editing and trying to win, but he's one of the most one-dimensional characters in Survivor history. His only story is he is amazing. That is it. Like, he doesn't do strategy or anything like that. It's just Joe can win lots of challenges. Joe can make things around camp. Joe is so hot. Joe is amazing. Like, what is interesting about that? There's no dimensions. At least Spencer has his freaking girlfriend thing going on. Like, it's just Joe is amazing. That is what is compelling. There is nothing compelling about that. So that was a huge downer on this season. I didn't vote for him. I felt like, based on his first performance, was there something that we really needed to see again? Like, he was fine on his first time. I mean, he told Nina to sit out and lost the challenge for them. Then he didn't really have much edit until his last 2 episodes. Like, he was fine. He was kind of likable in those last few episodes. But did we really need to see that again? Like, what was there that we needed? Oh, we need to vote him back on. I get why they did. I can see why. He's the Malcolm and the Aussie and all that. But yeah, this really brought the season down for me just because it was so tedious to watch, and I don't like immunity runs. I like seasons where lots of different stuff is going on and someone isn't. Wasn't Joe immune for like the first 30 days or something like that?
Yep. Clearly, as everybody listening to this realises, none of us are 13-year-old girls who have just hit puberty. So that's why we're not really talking too highly about Joe right now. We don't have a ranking for Joe, sadly, because, again, we did the rankings before Worlds Apart. And I would very much put a bunch of money on the fact that in a couple of seasons' time, we're going to have a Joe versus Aussie versus Malcolm season. So
Yes.
It's gonna happen. We'll have to deal with it when it comes. All right. Next person to go. Last person before the finale. My pony. I'm so sure I was gonna win some frickin' bloody goat money or something, but no, she had to get voted out. Abby Marie Gomez. Sorry, love Abby. Such great TV. When it comes to playing Survivor, maybe not that good. But always just worth watching, whether you love her or hate her. She just brings it all the time. Abby, Julian.
I've said this in one of the Ozchops, is I think the one she got voted out, the season was richer for her making it so far. Yes, she was excruciating at sometimes, and at first I was first couple of episodes she was awesome, then I was this Anchor Abby business is almost too much screen time for a while, but no, she was just such a volatile thorn in everyone's side, and she just threw a spanner in the works. She was awesome, and I couldn't have asked for any more from Abby, and I'm happy with what we got. So yeah, because she could have easily been an early boot, and so I'm so glad that she wasn't.
Noah.
Like Cass, horrible player of Survivor, but great character. Really like Abby. Voted her on. And she's one of the few players who gave them exactly what they wanted when they put her in the ballot. They were expecting someone who's going to cause drama, be a villain, and create good TV. And she did the exact same thing, and she nearly lasted the same amount of time. So I would not be shocked if we see her once again, because she was just consistent with her first time around. I liked that her edit died down a bit after the merge, because it would have been a bit too much if her early days stuck up for the rest of it. Sometimes I just don't know what's going through her mind with the PG stuff and that. But I think most people have accepted that she's not like that in real life. It's just when she's on the island and she can't handle the conditions, because I think she's quite popular, isn't she, in the Survivor community outside the game. Yeah, so I think it's just the conditions that get to her. But really entertaining character. I was not upset to see her go, just because she was in all the episodes except for one, and she delivered. I would have been fine with her making the finale. But yep, enjoyed Abby. She did what she was supposed to do in this season. She was never going to win.
Question we also pose a lot, of course, in our Oztopsies is how the fuck does Abby not make it to the end of Survivor as a goat? Again.
Yeah, every time. Both times she's made it that far. It blows my mind.
Perfect person to take to the end. Everybody says it all the time, but she doesn't do it. Actually, I think Denise, though, did explain that quite well in our recap episode that week. So download the Denise Stapley recap episode of Survivor Cambodia. Nick, Abby.
Well, I think you need somebody like her, and a bit the same as Keith, that, when you've got this season full of, game bots and strategic players, you need the ones that don't do what's logical. They kind of just follow, their emotions a little bit more and do things that are crazy and don't make sense, and that kind of makes things more fun by having players like that. So it was good to have her there. I don't understand the whole thing about her not going to the end, and just a little aside, I remember there was a quote in the episode where she went, where Spencer talked about, he needed to get to the end with her and Keith if he wanted to win, and then bang, he votes her out, and I'm like, well, that was my clue that Spencer was definitely not winning right there. So I just don't understand how she doesn't get taken to the end. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a good point to when we, I suppose, more so talk about Spencer. But I was very much down on that move by Spencer. Said it was going to cost him the game, and well, he didn't win. So anyway, Abby 109th. Wow, she made it quite high. Yes.
How can she be that and Cass be 262? Sorry.
Well, I put her up at 109. No one vetoed her. Just was beaten by Ted Rogers from Thailand, and just beat out Reynold Tofa. I can never say his name properly. Beat out Burton, beat out Corinne, beat out John Carroll, beat out T-Bird, beat out Jeremy.
Go, Abby.
Jeez, Abby, you go, girlfriend. All right, we're into the finale now, and we've got 6 people to talk about in the finale, because we had 6 people in the finale, funnily enough. Next to go, oh my goodness, did this bring some debate and discussion from Noah and myself. I was watching this with Noah and Paul, and we were not happy about this vote out, but perhaps we will discuss this right now. Kimi Kappenberg, sadly, with her vote out, it meant that the little statistic of an Australian Outback player on a returning season always making it to the Final Four. However, we can now say the new statistic is an Australian Outback player always makes it to the finale on a returning season. So, at least kept that little bit alive. Nick, Kimi. Actually, can you just say her name for us, too, by the way?
Kimmy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it was a shame we didn't see more of her, but I think that's probably because her whole game plan was to lie low until near the end, and then it kind of blew up in a way she probably didn't expect. I think it was really cool that she made it as far as she did, and a little bit of the kind of backstory about her is that, she's struggling to look after 2 young kids, and, the fact that she made it as far as she did and made a decent chunk of change is a really good thing. So just from that perspective, I'm really stoked for her that she did make it as far as she did. I think the whole thing about that vote out, the bit that I never really understand with those tied votes and all that kind of stuff is why the people that get voted for become immune, because that's not how it worked in my cases, and that's always been, I think that, the whole thing of Keith is the only person, that makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm looking forward to hearing Noah in a second. Julian, I don't know, were you on that Oztopsy? I can't remember, but...
No, but I agree with what Nick said about, how that was just the fact that I think you had a tweet about it or something, the Survivor Oz tweeted, because I was watching your finale tweets, and it was just bizarre that I'm getting a headache just trying to remember.
I got ripped a new one by people saying that I was an idiot and wrong, and that, you can't change it. Well, it was changed from Marquesas.
Yeah. It's.
I think the word that you're looking for, Julian, is clusterfuck.
It was a big clusterfuck, or as Spencer, cluster expletive.
Thanks.
Yeah, Spencer. We're up to him soon, but yeah, look, Kimmy was good. I'm stoked. I just think it's so awesome that they had people from season 2 back, because it's pretty much one of my favourite seasons, and now having her back was nice. And I don't know, again, could have been shown more. But there's always someone in 5th, 6th place that only starts getting an edit towards the end. So that's kind of not that surprising. Yeah, I don't really have that much else to say. She is nice.
Just want to point out, because I know Noah's going to talk a lot out here, and I want to hear him speak, because Noah preaches the truth on this subject. And it's not often I say that about Noah, but can we just again elaborate the fact that Kimmy had strategy? Kimmy made it to fucking 6th place. This to me is equal MVP of the season, just because nobody pre-season ever had any hope for Kimmy making it this far, showing strategy and really changing her game up. I cannot remember anybody at all pre-season giving her a snowball's chance in hell of making it this far and changing her game up the way she did. And Nick, you are absolutely right. Good on her. Struggling mother of 2 and just really going out there to do this for her kids and her family. And she is amazing, and I cannot wait to get her back on the show to just suck up to her. I don't give a shit if people go off at me for doing that. I haven't done it in a long time, but I fucking love Kimi Kappenberg, and good on her for being on this season and doing as well as she did. And fucking Kimmy was robbed. Noah.
Yeah, I think you could put it that Jeff Varner talked the talk, but really it was Kimmy who walked the walk. She was the one who really did improve and did do the strategy. I mean, Jeff kind of did, and he tried, but he really, in the end, got cut short and failed. While Kimmy didn't get to... we didn't get to hear about it from her because they didn't show her. But she really did improve, and she really did have strategy multiple times throughout the game, and she knew what she was doing. And it's not fan fiction. That happened. She was in my top 3 favourite players of the season. Another reason why I'm a bit bitter about the season is I'm appreciative that we did see glimpses of her, but completely robbed of a more of an edit. I can see, 6th place, Julian's right, that there's reasons why, but I get with Wigglesworth, I get it. But Kimmy, her confessionals were very entertaining. Kimmy is a huge character. Just think back to Australia. She's a massive character. Not only that, but she talks strategy in her secrets and the confessionals, and she has funny moments. So it baffles me, because they could have built up a huge, over-the-top kind of entertaining character with her, who we could have been saying, oh, she could actually win if only she had a bit more airtime. And I think it since came out that Kimmy probably had a better shot of winning than Spencer and Tasha did, that we just didn't know it from the edit. So huge props to Kimmy, and like Kelly, think back a year and say Kimmy Kappenberg is going to be back on Survivor. So it's just amazing, and I loved her attempt. If she made that move and pulled it off, she would have had a legit shot of winning this whole game. People debate that, but I really think she could have won if that pulled off. And the other thing is, I don't want to go on, I'm sorry, but Jeremy, the winner of that season, was completely fooled. He did not think at all Kimmy was flipping. It was only Spencer and maybe Tasha who said, well, she's probably flipping. And I think it was a bad move for Spencer to be so outspoken about it at that tribal council. And we saw that backfire in the final tribal council of Spencer being a bully. But Jeremy, the winner, who won 10 votes to 0, he was fooled by Kimmy Kappenberg, and it would have worked. So she's great. I wish we saw more of her. And I'm not going to go on and on. I thought that tribal council was horrible the way it was done. And it since turns out I'm pretty much in the minority. Everyone thinks that it was fine. No one has any issues, which blows my mind. And again, I won't go on, but the biggest issue I had with it was Keith Nail was not aware, and not just Keith, the whole players, they were baffled when Jeff said, oh, and by the way, Keith, if they switch, you're gone. And Keith was like, well, when did that happen? Thanks for telling me that before I made this move. So I'm glad Keith didn't sacrifice himself so people didn't call Keith a quitter. But I'm with Nick. Make the non-immune people... make the people who got voted for as well as the other people non-immune. I get the idea of it is it's supposed to be a punishment for not deciding.
But at that point of the game, like when so many people are, it's just
Jeff Probst called it an unprecedented event. If it's unprecedented, then we don't have a rule for it.
Exactly.
It's a different situation.
They could have made it more fairer, I feel.
I just felt like they were all backed in the corner, and it was not rigged for Spencer, Jeremy, and Tasha, but it was kind of like, oh, by the way, Keith, you're fucked. That's what it felt like, and it just came out so wrong. I'm not going to ramble. I talked about it in the Ozcap. I'll stand by my opinion, even though no one agrees with me, pretty much, except for you, some of you.
I'm dead with you 100%. It still just irks me so much, and I mean, just the criticism with it. That I think it was like, oh well, this is how it was, and this is the rule. Survivor has often been touted as a game with no rules. Like
it just has different twists every single season.
Can't break the rules. The jury played in a freaking immunity challenge in Pearl Islands. Don't talk about not breaking the rules.
And all of a sudden, Stephen Fishback can stop somebody from voting, and he can vote twice. Well, that happened every other season before this.
Can't break the rules with Kimmy Kappenberg, though. No, those rules, they're set in stone. No pun intended.
Oh God, Kimmy.
Rant over.
200. I mean, this
getting mad now.
This to me, I would say that she would have been the lowest ranked person coming into this season now looking at this. And this to me just shows volumes of how well she played this season, considering we had her at 283 coming into this season.
She's up.
Way up. Way up. She just beat out Tyrone Davis and was beaten by Brady Finter. Should have been beaten by Butch Lockley if Colin, Kate, and Paul didn't veto him. But anyway, Kimmy. All right, it keeps getting better for Noah because we're now into Keith Niall. Who finished it. Sorry, I'd never get over the fact that he's fucking from Keithville. That is just amazing. Noah.
Doesn't he live on Keith Street as well?
Keith Street, Keith
He lives
Manor.
in Keithville. No, he lives in Keithville. Yeah, Louisiana.
I think you missed the joke there, Julian. Noah. Keith, keep gushing. Go. Get some tissues.
I'm not going to go on because you all know my opinion on Keith, my favourite player of all time, potentially. You were there when he got voted back in, Ben. I was very happy.
Just a bit.
Yeah, you can imagine that my three favourite players were Wigglesworth, Kimmy, and Keith. And Kimmy and Keith, two of my three favourite players, make the finale. Kimmy goes, Keith goes. So it was kind of, we weren't too high on the finale. We weren't loving it when we were watching it with Paul. because it was like, oh, Kimmy's gone, Keith's gone, Wentworth's gone. Yeah, and you all know my opinion on Keith, so I'm not going to say favourite player, but I'll just say I don't think he deserves as much shit as he gets for not playing that idol. Yes, he should have done it. He really should have, but it wouldn't have made a difference. I think they all knew that he's like, you've seen his acting, stick to the plan. You've seen Keith nail. He wouldn't have been able to pull that off. He would have been voted out that night. It wouldn't have changed. He should have done it, but ultimately it's not a huge knock against his game, I don't think. Keith, he's not a Survivor player, but he's a freaking legend, and he almost won San Juan del Sur. Let's not forget that. So glad he was back. Bring on Keith for a third time, even though it's never going to happen.
Nick, Keith.
Also, Totos. Are you quite done now?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, for the same reasons I like Abby, I think Noah actually talked me around on Keith. I never used to be a big Keith fan, so well done, Noah. You've worked your magic there. Yeah, that I think he is. He's pretty funny. I'm not that into him, but yeah, I would hate to see a season where Keith wins because it would be awful. It would be like Fabio winning. But, it's great that he's there. He's great entertainment. So from that perspective, I really like him. Yeah, and I think he did. It was important that we had somebody like him there on the season so it didn't become too game body and all that kind of thing. Completely screwed it up with that whole fake community idol. That could have worked out really well. But, yeah, he botched that. But then you'd expect him to. That's his character. So I think he totally delivered on who he is.
I'm just expecting to see Keith like, I want $1 million! And he's like riding around in a tuk-tuk on, yeehaw! We're going to buy all of these! Julian.
Nothing really to add. He was good. Like I think I was a bit disappointed he didn't have more screen time, but it's just like with the All-Stars cast, like that's just going to happen, I think, with telling the story about what's all the strategy. And I don't know, he had some good moments, and I'm glad he lasted long because, yeah, it was good to break up all the strategy-heavy talk and all that. And I thought that he did improve his game this season, actually, in some ways. So, yeah, good on him.
87th he actually made it on our list.
Yeah, too high. But anyway.
But don't forget San Juan del Sur, he was one tribal away from winning at the time. And now we've got 2 seasons for context.
I still...
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'm just pointing out there, I still think he's the Big Tom 2.0. That's just my take on how.
Plus, we should also point out, we didn't think so in the edit, but it's kind of come out that Keith could have actually won that game.
I think Keith plays a pretty good social game, like that he might not be given credit for. Like he is sort of not. He's embraced by people, and that's. That's a huge part of Survivor as well, so, yeah.
And Keith is genuine, but I also do feel like he plays up on his southern charm to get people over. Like, that is Keith Nail, but I also do think he does try and use it.
He uses it, yeah.
Okay, Keith. See you, Keith. All right, just quickly on the confessional count, just really quickly go over these till we get into the final 4. So where did I leave off at Woo, didn't I? So Cass had 17, Savage had 31, Kelly 5, fuck you CBS, 19 to Sierra, 42 to Stephen, Joe 29, Abby 28, Kimmy only 13, and Keith 17. There you go. All right, we're now into my equal MVP of the season, my prediction to win, and so glad she got to show what she was made of, because I know a lot of people gave a shit for being on this season, didn't deserve to be on here. A lot of people sort of weren't really that high on her San Juan del Sur. Actually, I shouldn't say that. A lot of people were very high on her San Juan del Sur game as well. Obviously didn't make it that far in it, but Kelly Wentworth, huge fan favourite as well. But I was on hashtag Team Kelly before the bandwagon joined. Just want to point that out. Yeah, Nick, hashtag Kelly Wentworth. I don't know why she's got a hashtag, but yeah, Kelly with an E.
Hashtag Drew Christie was right. That she. Whoever thought that would be the case. But he was actually proved right a couple of seasons too late. But that she was a big threat. It I mean, totally awesome to see her come back and play as well as she did, and not only that, but like a really entertaining, fun character for the show as well. And I think she's just, like just so good with the camera and the confessionals, and snarky but funny, and just that totally right mix of characters. And awesome to see somebody come back and actually make the most of a second shot when you probably didn't think you'd ever see her back when she got voted out. So really cool to see her back. Gutted for her that she didn't quite make it to the end, because it would have been awesome to see her win, but at the same time, totally cool, and you're going to see her for a third time, there's no doubt about it.
Julian.
Yeah, pretty much everything Nick said. I would have preferred her to win than Jeremy, actually, like a lot of people, I reckon. But I mean, that's not to say anything bad against Jeremy. I'm satisfied with his win, but yeah, it's you can't have your favourite win. That barely ever happens in Survivor. So the fact that she made it so far to the end, it made the finale disappointing for me. But then I feel like every finale, unless my favourite player wins, I'm always a little bit disappointed. And I was again with this season, but she was so good the whole season. She was really engaging. I think she played perfect mix of not too much, so everyone didn't consider her a threat. I think that's how you have to play in these all-star seasons. You have to be pretty low-key, kind of like how Jeremy was a bit too. Why I don't think people saw him as a threat is still a bit beyond me and didn't vote him out. But he managed to do that really well, Jeremy. I don't know why I am talking about him now. She was great. And I hope she comes back, and she's a babe, so good on her.
That she is. Noah.
Yes, she is a babe, and yes, she will come back a third time. But just to make more enemies, Kelly Wentworth should not have been on this season. And just let me explain myself first. Production saw something in her based on San Juan del Sur. That's not someone who should return. Let's bring back Jackie Berg while we're at it. Hello, Kelly Sarnecki.
Hey.
This is not someone that should have returned. Betsy Boland, you're on the season. But she proved herself. I'm not a fan. I didn't vote her on. Well, I wouldn't say I'm not a fan. I do like Kelly Wentworth. I'm just not as big as a fan as a lot of people are. I didn't vote her on. I kind of had a feeling she would get on just because of her huge fan base, and props to her with her campaigning, because she was campaigning long before it was even announced, because she's always been good with the fans. But based on her San Juan del Sur game, no, let's get Jacqueline back on the season.
I would have loved to have seen Jacqueline.
Yeah, she would have been great this season.
John and Jacqueline.
John, bring them both back on.
I know, they're just gorgeous. We're talking about babies of Joe and Morgan.
Who would have hotter babies, Joe and Morgan or Jacqueline? John and Jacqueline, I think.
John and Jacqueline, they're just so much more wholesome.
Yeah. I'm just picturing a baby with big boobs and long hair mixed with just a hot young child. No, don't say that, Ben.
Don't
shut up, Ben.
Okay,
keep talking, Noah.
So yeah, she shouldn't have been on the season. That being said, she definitely proved herself. She was there to play, and my theory is that she didn't actually change her game, more so that she actually just got to play this time, and that if she was around in San Juan del Sur, she probably would have played pretty similar to this. So I am a fan. She did good on the season. I was rooting for her to win after Keith and Kimmy got voted out over the other three. So sad that she lost that final challenge. The one thing I'll just say, and I'm creating more enemies, don't say that hashtag Noah hates Kelly kind of thing that Cable's been doing, but I think she is overhyped as a player. I think she's good, but I feel like every single thing she does is hyped about 7 times by her fans, so that Kelly, that was the greatest Idol play ever! Kelly, that was the best Idol fight ever! Kelly, that was the best challenge win ever! That was the best move ever! And it's kind of like, Kelly is a good player. She has potential to be the next Parvati, and she could win her 3rd time. But people definitely overhype every single thing she does, and it's a bit obnoxious. But again, she was one of the stars of the season, top 3 stars of the season, and she did very good. So bring on her 3rd time.
Can I just point out that I fucking love Kelly. I've always loved Kelly. And recording this, first day of February 2016, going to Reality Rally in April, and she's only just been announced that she's going there with her dad, Dale. And I'm so excited to meet Kelly. I just want to point that out. And
Dale was robbed of more airtime in this.
Well, this is the thing too. Just want to also point that out. So glad that this was just awesome. This is one of the real highlights for me of this season too. Was a family visit, and that we all remember during Redemption Island. Will Amber be Rob's family visit? No, it wasn't, and things like that. But this was just fantastic that they brought out Val and that they brought out Dale. We were robbed of seeing Wesley, but obviously
we got Big D.
We did. So just a small little win there, but yeah. Kelly, you're awesome. And the furthest I've ever had a preseason tip to win go. So, yay, Ben nearly did something right. We're into the final three.
You want a trophy?
Do you got one for me? I'd love one. Do you got one for me? That's good grammar.
Hey, do you got one for me?
That's what happens when you record at your parents' house. I'm just waiting for Mum to tap on the door. Ben, have you been practicing your grammar?
Speak proper grammar, Ben.
Just a running joke. I'm living at my parents' house for 6 months.
I don't got one, Mum, alright?
While we construct our own properties. So, haha, Ben's at his parents at nearly 29. Very funny.
Get it out of your system.
I want to talk. We're getting close to the thread, so I'm going to lump these two together because they were both equal spot finishing. They were equal runner-up. Tasha and Spencer. Obviously both from Cagayan. We had the final four of 2 Samoan Del Surians and 2 Cagayanians. So, the final 5 was 3 Samoan Del Surians. Well, props to Samoan Del Sur. Noah and I have been Team Samoan Del Sur for so long. Go back and listen to that Ozcap because we just talked it up, and then at the end of it, Noah and I wanted to keep recording for another 3 hours because Samoan Del Sur is awesome. So, props to that. But yeah, Tasha, Spencer, finished third, equal second. I'm going to shut up and let Julian talk about Tasha and Spencer.
Well, I have strong opinions on Tasha. I feel like she is overrated. I've watched Cagayan since, and she was pretty she didn't have that much of a big edit in a lot of the season, and she had some questionable attitude there too. And so, yeah, she was good at challenges, blah blah blah. So I didn't need to see her back. And I think she was pretty boring this season. And she just was on God's grace that she had Abby flip and work with him, really. That was just sort of a bit of luck. I mean, everyone gives her heaps of credit for how she got Abby on her side, but Abby does whatever interests Abby, not really, persuasive power of Tasha. I don't really assign her credit for that. But I don't know. I was disappointed. I know Spencer does have some shortcomings in his game, but I do feel like he deserved at least a vote or 2 to come second rather than equal second. I don't really know what else to say about him. Spencer was a pretty good confessionalist again. Maybe overdone a little bit, forced down your throat, but then I hated Spencer in Cagayan. I thought he was way over the top, forced down our throat in that season, and for some reason I warmed to him and rooted for him this time. So I don't know, it sounds weird, but I thought I kind of had a little bit of a tiny crush on Spencer this season, which is weird too. So, yeah.
Okay. Nick, do you also have a tiny crush on Spencer?
Not that I'm aware of, but you never know what could happen in the future. I felt for Spencer because I thought that he played really well, and I think it just didn't work out. I think he ran out of spots. He kind of painted himself into a corner a little bit, and I kind of felt like he played similar to how Stephen played in his first game, which is kind of a weird comparison between the two. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed his game. I thought he did a good job, and just ran out of time, ran out of spaces, and if you look at what's the scenario that he gets to from that final 6 where he wins, he's always going to end up sitting next to somebody that's going to beat him. And, that probably speaks, I guess, to his game that he just didn't quite figure that part out. And it's a shame, but, I really enjoyed watching him play and watching him scramble and get himself into a good position and then out of, so it was a fun roller coaster. Whereas I think with Tasha, I didn't enjoy her at the start. I think the whole encore thing, I didn't enjoy her. I thought she came across as kind of a little bit arrogant and, a bit entitled and stuff like that. But by the end, I felt sorry for her as well, because I think she kind of got into a position where she kind of had no option but to just go along for the ride, and she must have known at the end there that she wasn't going to win. And that must have been a pretty horrible feeling to kind of, get to the end and realise that when, the last time that both those guys played, if they'd made it to the end, they would have been in a great position. So it must have been weird to kind of come into that she probably wasn't going to win. I think she must have known that. And, that's unfortunate for her. And I think it's really interesting, isn't it, that, your final 5 come from 2 tribes. That's pretty weird.
That's a very good
just
point.
As an aside. Just an aside from what we were talking about before, but yeah.
Isn't this where Ben says so?
What?
Is it?
What do I say?
What are we talking about? What?
Anyway, whatever Ben says, whatever Ben says is Nick said enough anyway, so we'll move on.
Yes, no, whatever Ben says, Nick will move on. So,
sorry, I buttered.
Noah, Tasha, and Spencer.
Have you finished, Nick? I apologise. I was completely missed everything you said. But anyway, Tasha. I'm probably the only one with 0 real opinions on her. It's Tasha. Like, don't hate her, don't love her. She was okay. I almost would have preferred Sabrina as the African American woman on the season, or both of them really, but I feel like Sabrina could have been fun. I feel like Sabrina probably also would have maybe finished in second place as well. Like, I could see her getting quite far, but I kind of feel a bit bad for Tasha because she's been getting a lot of shit in this season, and I agree with Julian in a way that she is overrated, but I feel a bit bad because I almost feel like she's slightly underrated, only in the fact that no one has seemed to give her any credit on this season, but she still played a role in the season and had some good things going for her. So I kind of feel a bit bad. So yeah, she's okay. And Spencer, I've never been a fan. I didn't vote him on to the season. And I don't want to be too mean because I know he did take it very hard based on his post-game video on the red carpet and on the reunion show and on Twitter and that. He seems to be taking it pretty hard. But can we just appreciate for a moment that Spencer is a no vote getter runner-up, because he's been touted as this ultimate golden boy. Jeff Probst formally apologizes for saying that he thought he had 0 chance of winning, and he was so close in Cagayan. He comes back and he just falls flat and gets 0 votes. I feel a bit bad, but it's also kind of a little funny if I'm going to be a bit evil. So, yeah, he made some mistakes. He had some things going for him as well. It's not like he played a horrible game, but he definitely made mistakes. And the thing with Spencer is we kept the tally. He just keeps getting saved and saved and saved. So he may narrate a good game, but is Spencer Bledsoe really a great Survivor player as people kind of make him out to be? And just one final thing, I thought his edit was way too over the top. I think he was more of a bearable player when he got 1 or 2 confessionals. Remember in the middle of the season, he kind of went through a quiet period where he'd just get a few confessionals here and there. And that's when he was way more bearable. But then when it's I can't say I love you and all this over-the-top bullshit, that's when it was just whatever, go home, forget you, goodbye. But, yeah, Spencer, I wonder if we'll ever see him again on the show.
Well, it's interesting because Spencer, we all know kind of when he came out in the first bit and he was sort of looking like such an evil person and all this sort of stuff, and as you were saying, got the apology letter and all this sort of stuff. I mean, I think Spencer, we've had him on the show a few times, super nice guy, very intelligent, and can talk to Spencer for a very long time. And I think he's a decent Survivor player, but yeah, I'm probably with you a bit there, Noah, that he's not as maybe good as some people make him out to be. Tasha, whatever you want to say, potato, which is really tomato, because no one ever says potato. Anyway.
Ben, come and get your potatoes for dinner.
I would like some potato chips, thank you. If anybody out there actually says potato chips, please let me know, and I don't want you to
please
bullshit.
write us in.
I honestly want to hear somebody go, hello, Ben, I like my potato chips a bit crispy. But it's... the thing with Tash, it's
is that
like...
Chris Berger?
Oh, we miss Chris. What was I say? Yeah, it's interesting with Tash because I was very high up on her game first time watching Kagaya, and then on a rewatch it kind of went down a little bit. Then having her on the show for the first time pre-season, she was very calm and well-spoken and well-mannered and very polite and, great to talk to. But during the season, there were so many elements where I'm like, wow, Tash, settle pedal. Like, you need to just take a breath. Like, I didn't realise she was quite like that, which was entertaining to watch. But it definitely was like an interesting...
We got a rat!
I love that.
And when Keith forgot her name, that was hilarious.
Yes. Poor Keith. Oh, you feel sorry for Keith. But we laughed, so that's all that matters. So, yeah, we're now to the pointy end. Jeremy Collins. Now, so fascinating to think that I picked him in Salman Del Sur to be runner-up to Val, and I was just the biggest Jeremy fan. I was so devastated that he lost in Salman Del Sur, and he would be in my top 5 favourites of this season. I love the fact that he won this game. A former power ranker. Hello. Yes, we produced a winner. You're welcome, Survivor. He may have quit halfway through, but it doesn't matter because
he did more than Sandra did, I think.
At least he told us. Good call, Julian. Good call. But I just want to say I've not rewatched this season yet. But I'm quite high up on Jeremy's win, and I personally have got him maybe on the edge of the top 10. I really need to discover that on a rewatch. But to this day, you mentioned it before, Julian. How did no one target him? This is he played this so well that he just had nobody ever come after him, which was just incredible because of who he is and how well he can do things. And I can't speak volumes high enough for him and a winner of this season. So I personally at the time wasn't as high up on excited for his win as I should have been because I was obviously disappointed about Kimmy and Keith and Kelly. But still, it's been a month or two now, and I for one am thrilled over the moon that he won this season. I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let Noah talk.
I don't have too much to add just because you could do a whole episode on Jeremy's win. But I'm with you guys. Like, how did he not get targeted? Like, maybe they brought his name up like twice throughout the entire season. I don't think he's a flawless player despite getting 10 votes, which was amazing. I think he made a few, not mistakes, but a few iffy things. And then the one bit I couldn't stand with Jeremy was
the Kimmy.
Oh, yeah, Kimmy, why don't you fall on my sword? How dare you do that, Kimmy? How dare you play your own game? Like, that's not his words, but that's what he was saying. Basically, berating Kimmy for not doing what he wanted. That really didn't rub me the wrong way. I've never been a fan of him, but I voted him back on because I do think he should be a two-time player, and I did think he had potential, and he is a character, so I voted him despite not being a big fan of his. And he played very well. So props to him. He deserved the win. I'm not sure if I'd top 10 I'd need to rewatch, but I'd say maybe 11 to 15 or something like that. I'm not sure. I would hesitate to put him in top 10, but also the numbers don't lie. 10-0-0, like that's amazing. The one thing I hate about Jeremy's win, and it's the sad thing about Survivor, is if there's an all-winners season, it means we won't see Earl Cole back on the show anymore, which is very disappointing that they feel the need they can only have one African-American male, but now that they've got the option of Jeremy over Earl, they're going to go with Jeremy any day, unfortunately. So that's the one thing I don't like about Jeremy's win, but I think he deserved it, and I did like how Nick said at the top of the show there were multiple options for potential winners, and Jeremy was always up at the top of the list. but at least it wasn't as obvious until the Final 5 or Final 4 as some other seasons, like Worlds Apart or San Juan del Sur or stuff like that. So, not a huge fan of him, but he definitely deserved this win.
Julian.
Yeah, I'm satisfied with him winning. Like I think it's no mean feat at all to win an All-Star season. So you have to kind of rank his. Like, it wasn't perfect, but I don't feel like anyone can have a perfect win all the time and be in the know all the time in a season like this. There's just not going to be anyone that can fully dominate so obviously in a season like this. And maybe from now on in Survivor, since the game has changed to these voting blocks and blah, 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 like, I feel like it is so much more fluid, so you can't be aware on every vote which way it's going to go. And I think Jeremy... I think it comes down to now getting back to his social game. People wanted to keep him around, and he knew what to do sort of at the right time when he could. And I have to put his win fairly high. I don't know. I don't think he deserved to get all 10 votes, really. Like, I think that was just kind of who he was with. But then I guess that's sort of his credit that he aligned. I don't know, that... If he had been sitting next to other people, it could have been a lot closer, I think. So, I don't know. He's definitely in the top 15 of winners. I don't know exactly where I'd put him yet, though.
Nick?
Look, I think one of the reasons that nobody chose to take him out was because of that stuff you kind of don't see on the TV, because it's not big game moves and stuff, but it's how comfortable he made everybody feel. Like, you hear what other people have said after the show, and that, he was just really good at being calm and just being laid back and letting everybody feel that they could come to him and talk to him, and so they never felt like they wanted to vote him off because he was always somebody that was there as an option to work with them and that kind of thing. So I think there's a reason why he was never the target, despite the fact that he looked like one when you kind of look at him and he's, a big alpha male and that kind of thing. I think he's a really good winner. I don't know where he kind of sits if you're going to rank things, but he's got to be pretty high up there. I think his chances of winning again are pretty good as well, which is surprising for a guy that's, so physically strong. I think he does actually have the ability to come back and do really well again. He's just got a really good skill set for the game, and I think he played a really, really solid game.
Well, I'll just quickly go over some of the rankings from the people because we've missed a few. Kelly Wentworth was 220th. Here's a controversial one. # Tammy was robbed. So she just cracked the halfway point in our poll. When it came to Tasha, she was 73rd. Wow, okay. Spencer was 54th. And Jeremy was, I believe he was about 120th, was he not? Not Jeremiah. He was 120th. Jeremy just beat out Krista Hasty and was beaten by the first boot of this season, Vitas Bushkauskas. So, fascinating stuff. Excuse me, I just felt like sounding French there for a second. That was the weirdest sound I've ever made on Survivor Oz.
Well, probably not.
Few final questions and bits, and I want to go over some prediction things that we had because this is the fun part. But just quickly, because I know Noah hates this, I just want to get some of this trivia stuff out of the way because there's actually not much. Just quickly with Jeremy, obviously the first male to win an all-returning player season, which is interesting. Post-Survivor, of course, it was well documented that Val pregnant, of course, when he went out there because he was playing a lot for the baby. And we should mention his jury speech when he brought up that right at the end.
But that's not what won in the game, like some people say. That's what won in the game. Bullshit.
Very true. They've, of course, Val gave birth to their son, Remy Bodie Collins, on the December 21st, 2015. Congratulations, guys. And I've just discovered this fact. Noah's just posted this in the group. I did not know this was a thing. Jeremy appeared with Joe on Young and the Restless on January 27th, 2016. Incredible. And one thing that I saw on Twitter, which made me really excited, I'm a huge Will and Grace fan. Megan Mullally plays Karen. on Will and Grace. Sadly, I was meant to see her in Hobart, but she cancelled, damn it. But I saw Megan Mullally post on Twitter a photo of her and Jeremy saying, hey, I just met the winner of Survivor. So the weirdest thing ever to see that. So obviously Karen Walker is a fan of Survivor. Anyway, not going to go through a lot of Jeremy's because he doesn't really have much exciting trivia, and for this we'll go to the season. We'll do that at the end. Let's just quickly look through some of these predictions, because this is the part where I usually lose my shit in terms of laughing a little bit. So we ask some pre-season questions, and the only ones I don't have Nick or Julian's answers here, but anyway, pre-season, this is what we ask in our preview episode. So who will win? I said Kelly. Noah said Monica. Based on your pre-season rankings, Nick, you had Sierra as a winner. Julian, do you remember who you had at all? No? Alright, cool. Just looking here, Patrick and Ryan both successfully predicted that Jeremy would win. Who will be the first boot? I said Cass. Noah, you said Cass. Nick, you had Shireen. Who will be this season's GOAT? All right, this is where we can get who was this season's GOAT, first of all. Who would we put?
Abby Maria.
Abby?
Oh, is there someone else? I feel like Tasha was a bit of a GOAT, but maybe that's a bit harsh. I don't know.
Abby is a definite.
Yeah, apart from Abby. Like,
Nick,
is there
would
another
you
one?
disagree with that at all?
No, I think that's pretty accurate.
All right, well, if we're going on Abby, then Jordan was correct. He was the only one who said Abby. I said there would be no GOAT. And Noah, you said Wu would be the GOAT. So,
Well, Wu was a GOAT.
who will be this season's no vote getter? Well, it was Tasha and Spencer. Did anyone correctly predict that? No, they didn't. I said Jeremy. I actually remember that because I said Jeremy would make the final three, but he would get no votes. So, well, I was kind of right. Noah, you said there would be no one getting no votes. So there you go. Which contestant do you think will be most likely to return? Who would we say on this one right now?
Wentworth is coming back.
Wentworth?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Julian, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Well, if that's the answer, nobody got it. I said Monica. Noah, you said Spencer. Other options thrown out there. Joe was thrown out. Varna.
Joe will.
PG. All right. Which tribe will lose the most members pre-merge / switch? So that was easily Takeo, was it not? Yes, if we go by the original, what they were. So on that notion, Ryan was correct, Tom was correct, Clifton was correct, Jordan and Rossi was correct. I said Bion, and Noah, you said Angkor. Well, yeah, maybe. Which format? It's a decent. Right. It's all right. Now, I actually don't know who this was. Maybe somebody here knows. Who will be the first former player mentioned in this season? Who was it?
Oh, it was... I think it was Dale, but it could have been Laura Moret.
Well, nobody got it then.
It was, I think, yeah, I'm fairly certain it was Dale Wentworth.
I said Mike. Noah said BB. Patrick said Mary. And the rest were fairly decent answers. Who will get the most confessionals? Well, the winner of that went to Spencer. He got 56 confessionals. He is the winner of that title. Now, in terms of our predictions, no. Alex said Spencer, and so did Jared. There you go. Congratulations. I said Jeremy. No, you said Monica. Who will get the least confessionals, aka the Purple Kelly edit? Well, if we're going to be technical, it was Vetus, but I think we all know who takes this title.
I think Purple Kelly takes it.
Well, funnily enough, I said Kelly, you said Kelly, Patrick said Kelly, and we were the only ones.
That's why I call BS on this conspiracy thing. We all knew Kelly was going to get no confession.
This is the one that brings the laughs. What colour will the merge tribe be? Let's go through the legitimate ones, first of all. I said black. Ryan said green / pink / yellow. Clifton said blue, Jordan said blue, Alex said red, and Jared said blue. So nobody got it correct. Let's go over the slightly dumb ones. Rossi said...
Mine was serious.
Rossi said papaya whip.
Well, that was kind of close.
Tom said black and white checkered flag. Patrick, well, camo, I guess. I mean, that was a legitimate one. Noah Groves said, printed off from Google Images, large pictures of Russell Hanson's face covering the entire buff in pixelated form.
That was close.
No, you wouldn't.
No.
I saw it. Well done, Noah. Who will be the first to find an idol? Well, it was Kelly Wentworth, was it not? Nobody got it. Nobody even said... Oh, no, somebody said Jeremy. Jordan said Jeremy, so okay, that's fine. Who received the most votes against him this season? Oh, do we know who that is off the top of our head?
Abby? No. It wasn't. I don't think it was.
Yeah, somebody knows that answer. Please email us in. Let's go with Abby for shits and giggles. And Jordan said Abby. Yeah, Jordan's doing quite well in these. Who will be Prope's favourite? Who would we say was Prope's favourite?
Maybe Wentworth.
Wentworth?
Or Joe.
Joe?
Oh, Joe. Yeah, Joe.
Okay. Well, everybody said Savage, with the exception of Jordan said Sierra and Rossi said Spencer. Oh, Jared said Kelly Wigglesworth. Well, you're a bit far off the mark there, Lubeek.
He didn't get on the Savage Love train.
He didn't really. Who will be Prope's least favourite? Who was that? Would
that was Wigglesworth.
That was Wigglesworth? Well, nobody said it. I said Monica. No, he said Abby. Will there be a quitter this season? Well, there wasn't. So
closest was Terry, but not
closest
really.
was Terry. Well, I mean, if you take that, Clifton said it, and so did Rossi, but a lot of us said none. Showmans. We didn't really have a showman. Kelly and Joe, maybe.
That's a no, man.
That's a stretch, but like if you had to say someone, it would. Yeah.
Well, the popular choice is Monica and
Keith and Kimmy.
Keith and Kimmy. That was great, wasn't it? Well, let's go with Keith and Kimmy, but everyone basically said Monica and Joe.
Gandhi and Ted I saw on the beach in Cambodia.
Who did I say for the show, man?
You said Keith and PG.
Oh, close.
Okay, and will there be a Medivac? Well, there wasn't. And, well, you said Savage, Noah. Got a bit savage out there, did he? And I said none. So, there you go. Alrighty then, is that the last of our Dubalaki things? Yes, it is. Alright, so we just now have our final questions. Just quickly scrolling through the Cambodia trivia. Do we have anything interesting from Survivor Wiki? Well, Survivor Wiki's telling me here at the same time 5 reasons you should watch Beowulf. And who would you choose to help save the world? Vote in the You, Me, and the Apocalypse Face Off. Okay. Cambodia is the 3rd season with cast consisting of all no shit. This is the first, boring. Cambodia's 2nd season to have contestants with homophonic names following Survivor Samuel does
homophobic names. What's a homophobic name?
Alright, Noah, this is our favourite. The font used for the season logo and buffs is a modified version of the premium font Anglo Angkor, not Anal Nelly.
The font used in Survivor Cambodia was Anal Nelly.
Jeremy Collins, Spencer Bledsoe, Tasha Fox, Kelly Wentworth, Kimmy Kapberg, and Joe Angliam. What did they all achieve in this season?
They've made the top 7.
They finished higher than their first time around.
Yes.
This is the... Well, we didn't touch on this, but just quickly, this is the 2nd season to have a banned contestant from attending the reunion show. Vitas Bushkauskas was banned from having returned home early and potentially spoiling the season. The first contestant to be banned was the Karamoan, Brandon. So we didn't touch on that.
The band.
The band.
Like,
Vitas
Bunch was banned.
Vitas was banned. No mention in it at all. And there you go. This is the first season to feature a 10 jury member, thus holding the record for largest jury in Survivor history. Cambodia is the first season with multiple African-American contestants competing in the season in which all of them made it to day 39 and the final tribal council. Fiji had 2. Okay, never mind. And this season holds the record for most votes negated by hidden immunity idols with 20. Wow, that's kind of cool. All right, let's close this out. Let's close this bad boy out. We are now the 4th longest Ozcap. Well done. How did we do the Marquesas Ozcap in 59 minutes and 10 seconds? Because we didn't see it in Australia. Simple.
Yeah.
Just making it up.
All right, best player of the season, Nick.
Jeremy.
Julian.
Kelly.
And Noah.
Jerry.
Jerry. Oh, okay. Most underrated.
That's my nickname.
Most underrated player of the season, Noah.
Kimmy Kappenberg.
Julian.
PG. No.
Do we need a sound effect? We haven't had one in a while.
I'll have to say Kimmy. Boing.
Nick.
Kimmy.
Worst player of the season, Julian.
Vetus.
Nick.
Oh, you put me on the spot. Vetus.
And Noah.
Woo.
Best challenge of the season. We didn't talk at all about challenges. Oh well. Noah.
Second chance challenges. I'm just trying to remember.
Oh, I know what I'm going to say. Don't steal it, Noah.
I'm not going to say the nighttime one because I don't think it's done as well as it could have been. Someone just died.
Julian just jizzed himself.
Don't say nighttime around Julian. Nighttime challenge. You sound like Anal Nelly. All right, what are some of the I would just say the one where Joe passed out because Keith won.
We didn't mention that at all, did we? Nick, I'll go to you, see if you steal Julian's.
No, I'm not going to. The final immunity challenge. I love that challenge.
Julian.
Well, I'm going to say something different now because my thunder was stolen. I enjoyed the one where Stephen hit the other person's target, and the slip and slide one where he was like derided by Jeremy, like, you just got to have more confidence, man. Cool. They were good.
I just want to put special props out there to the nighttime challenge because fuck, we had a nighttime challenge and that's worth jizzing over.
Anal Nelly.
Biggest
That's the tagline.
worth jizzing over. Biggest moment, the key moment that decided the game, Nick.
When Abby was voted out.
Julian.
When they merged early at such a big group.
Noah.
When they made up that bullshit thing about how either Kimmy or Keith's going to go home and the three guys got to be safe and go right through to the final three.
Good call. Biggest what-if moment of the season, Noah.
What if the nighttime challenge was at daytime? No. What if they didn't do the Angkor thing? It was just a 2-tribe season.
Sounds like a Survivor Wiki trivia. If they hadn't have done it at night time.
It would have been day. Not worth choosing over.
This was the first challenge this season to be not held during the day. Julian.
What if Shane Powers was on?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
And T-Bird.
Nick.
What if Terry hadn't had to leave a game?
Oh, yeah, good call. Worst moment of the season, Julian?
The worst moment of the season? God, I really didn't like it when... Oh, I don't know. I don't have one, sorry.
Jeez, you really didn't like that. You don't know, did you?
No, this question always just makes me smile when I think of you because it just reminds me back to the Australian Outback. Oh, probably when Deb Eaton got voted out and Lancey's... Oh, my God, Noah. Hashtag
I would say...
memories.
I would say... that was a sweet hashtag. I would say the whole Kimmy got voted out, keep falling on his sword type thing, but also Wigglesworth's edit, period.
Knock.
When Stephen got voted out.
Sexiest. Now I always just usually say, but stuff it. Let's be gender diversive here. Sexiest male and sexiest female of the season, Nick.
Oh, oh, that's pretty tough. Terry Dietz, definitely.
Dad bod.
Yeah, and and Monica.
Speaking of dad bods, I'm offended Barbie. Like, just on a side note. Like, I don't get to talk about this on breakfast radio. They've just released, like, a fuller-figure Barbie. Like, good on you, empowering women. It's fine to be a bit shapely. Great. Where's the dad bod Ken? Like, I'm fat. How come I don't get to buy a doll of, like, a Ken with man boobs? I'm offended, Mattel. Make one.
I don't think man boobs is the dad bod.
Well, maybe that's why I'm not a dad.
I just love that you've been staying with your parents for a week and you go, speaking of dad bods, where are you going with this?
Oh, dad bods.
Yes,
the best
Julian.
Male, probably Joe, I guess, and Kelly.
Which one?
Wentworth.
Oh, okay.
Pretty conventional, standard response there.
Noah.
Shout out to Wigglesworth, who still looks awesome.
She does.
Sierra, hands down. Underrated, hands down. And for the guys, does Probst count? He's pretty sexy.
Sure. Why not?
Jeff Probst.
Biggest what the beep moment of the entire season, Noah?
In a good way, Keith writing the Tuk Tuk, because that was just one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in Survivor.
I remember I hadn't seen that episode yet, and Noah messages me going, it's probably got one of the greatest moments in the history of Survivor I've ever seen. And as soon as it came on, I'm like, oh, I bet you that's what Noah's talking about. Julian.
Probably one of them, not the biggest, because I can't think of the biggest, but was when Abby pretty much started accusing PG of stealing her shit straight away. It's pretty what the fuck.
Nick.
Spencer crying in the second episode.
There's a lot of crying this season as well. I didn't really
Oh, no, I've got one. Stephen's poem. That was pretty what.
Yeah, that was big. Yes. What the beat.
Or the preview for Go Wrong, where basically everyone dies.
Yeah, we'll know that there'll be some medivacs for the questions next season.
This twist, who will die? Now, this is a bit moot, this one, because obviously all of these players have returned before, so let's just change this to player you would most like to see return. Nick.
Varna.
Julian.
I'll say Varna and Cass. I could say two.
Well, you can't, but anyway. Noah.
My honest answer is Keith, but a more realistic answer, probably Varna.
Now, I'm going to put a exclusive question for this Ozcap. Rank the all returning seasons from 1 to 3. Noah.
1, heroes versus villains. We're talking about how everything happened in this season, but that season, every episode was just one of the best episodes in Survivor history. It's groundbreaking. I really struggle to see how this is better than heroes versus villains. Number 2... I would probably put Second Chance in, probably. And number 3, just closely trailing behind, is All Stars. Although I like All Stars more than most people do, though.
Julian.
Yeah, Heroes versus Villains is first. I actually do have a soft spot for All Stars, but I don't enjoy... I find it a very frustrating season to rewatch, so I think I would find this better on a rewatch than All Stars. Even though All Stars has that legacy of all these... really iconic players, I still enjoyed the ride of this season a lot more than All-Stars, so, yeah.
Nick, anything different?
I think Heroes vs. Villains in Cambodia are really, really close for me, but I'd probably stick with the same ranking as everyone else, and All-Stars is a long way behind.
You're all fucking idiots. All-Stars number 1, Heroes vs. Villains number 2, Cambodia 3. And the legacy of this season, again, always hard to ask this question, because remember when we first did this, folks, we did this way after seasons had aired. But if this season will have a legacy, I guess, what will it be, Julian?
Well, this whole talk of voting blocks isn't going away, unfortunately, so that's going to be really annoying. Even though we've already had that, that's going to just be like, and from 31 onwards, the new era, blah, blah, blah. So that'll be a big part of it. And also this whole getting the audience involved is a big legacy of this season.
Nick?
I think having the idols at challenges.
And Noah?
Yeah, I think there's a few potentials, like Julian said, public voting, voting blocks, changing the face of the idols. and maybe leading away for more returnees because we kind of got off the returnee scent for a while, so that's a potential too.
All right, I'm very proud of ourselves because we're at 2 hours and 57 minutes pre-editing, and we are nearly going to beat this before 3 hours for the first time in like forever. We've come into an episode and said we won't want to go longer than 3 hours, and we're actually going to achieve that. So great job, guys. This has been a lot of fun. Just quickly, because I've hardly played sound effects, let's go a little bit crazy on these. Yep. All right. Wicked. Great. And the fart's not playing. There we go. Thank you. All right, just play that a few more times.
Sounds like a duck quacking more than a fart.
Don't bring up Ducky Kwan, where that was 17 seasons ago. Nick, such a great pleasure to have you back here on an episode, my friend, and for your very first Ozcap. So, and it's nearly 2 o'clock in the morning for you. So, great job for staying up late. Well done, Nick.
I'm committed. I'm committed and should be committed.
You should be. You should be. Now go write an article. Julian,
not like you don't write enough.
Julian, thank you very much. 4 in a row. Make it 5 on Survivor 32.
Fab to be here and good to chat about such a great season.
And Noah, you've been here a lot, so what more can I say?
Thank you. We're about 2 weeks from Co-Wrong at the moment, so bring it on.
Co-Wrong. What could go wrong with wrong?
How many times have I read that on the internet in the past 3 weeks?
Well, I haven't read anything, so shut up, Noah. We are going to bring you our preview episode of Co-Wrong. Funnily enough, we're going to record it tomorrow night, but it might be released a little bit differently. Who knows? So stay tuned. We're happy to be back. Obviously, we had a bit of a month off really for January. It was meant to be about a week, but it turned out to be a month. So whatever, life happens. Get over it. Reality Rally, donate, SurvivorOz.com. Go to our website, click on Team Survivor Oz and help donate money towards Michelle's Place breast cancer research. Are you
going to donate, Ben?
I will, when it gets a little bit closer. No, I've had to pay to get over there first. But we will we will be there. So we're looking forward to covering that event for you in person. And, go to our website, download the episodes, subscribe on iTunes. You know the drill, even though we haven't been here for, ages. Thank you for tuning in to our 31st Ozcap. We look forward to bringing you our 32nd one in about 6 months' time. Until then, my name is Ben. Keep sucking those oranges because I never get to say it anymore. I feel like saying it again right now. And we will see you on the trains here on Survivor Oz.